This is the How Is He Podcast, a deep dive into Carlo soccer with Podge and Papa, proudly sponsored by Curra Sports. Let's kick it off.
Welcome to episode 32 of the How Is He Podcast. Joined as always by my co-host Paul Papadoling. This week we will look at the last round of results and upcoming fixtures, and we have a guest with us. A man who started playing juvenile with St. Pat's, stopped playing, then came back into the game back into the junior game playing with Pats, Stretford, Hanover, Noak 35s and Carlow over 35s, Carlow Rovers over 35s. Along the way he picked up a good bit of silverware, including a cup double with Stretford B team. However, this is a story of someone whose life spiralled into chaos due to a gambling addiction. To fund his addiction, he stole 1.75 million from his workplace and ended with, oh my God, my writing is terrible, ended with a loss more than 10 million. This is also a story of loss, desperation and ultimately a fight for recovery. He's now turned his life around to the point where he's a counsellor for addiction and a full-time public speaker. A massive welcome to Mr. Tony O'Reilly. Tony, how are you?
Just some introduction. Thanks very much.
Absolutely butchered it. Won't be the first time. Sorry, what? Yeah, I don't know what's wrong.
Won't be last.
I'm working too many hours, man. I'm telling you, flat out. Papa, results, talk to me. You weren't around the weekend?
No, I was over in Anfield, thank God. Yeah, great game, brilliant experience. I was over with the Blackjack.
Well,
happy people over there, Bagnallstown lads.
were you with a supporters club or just went over?
No, so Blackjack got tickets to a friend of his to a work and asked me about 6 or 7 weeks ago what I'm interested in going. So we were on about for the last couple of years.
Is that your first time in Anfield?
First time in, yeah, I went over.
Is it?
I went over years ago to watch a game.
Stadium's
Because of
fabulous,
weather, yes. Yeah. And I think the nighttime kick-off even made it even more better, you know.
Magical.
It was brilliant gesture. Then you never walk alone. It's fantastic. But no, it was a brilliant experience and deserved to win in the night. But the whole, I wanted to go in to see the warm-ups and
What do you think of the warm-ups?
Sure, it was basic, man. It was just the 10 outfield players.
1,000 touches.
1,000 touches, yeah. 10 outfield players. Gas they played 4v4, Podge.
Yeah.
And the two centre backs are the pivot of either end of it.
Okay,
So Van Dijk is at one side and Canada's at another at 4.
And played through the middle to the centre halves.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Brilliant. Just
I butchered the opening. I actually have another little show over here. My father-in-law is in business 55 years, right? 55 years. He's a little furniture shop in Portlaoise, Reliable House Furnishings. He's 82 years of age. He still works full time and he was 55 years in business. Lads, I'm telling you now, it's like all it's missing is a DeLorean. It's like stepping back in time. It's an old dance hall that he bought back in the 60s. There's an open gas fire. No rules in it. He's the best of quality of furniture and all that crack, lads. If you're short of anything in relation to furniture, drop over. Tell Billy Podge sent you. He has
discount.
There's a sale on all November. I just going to give that to show. Anyway, you're bet 4-0, Pop.
yeah.
What you hear back?
I heard New York come out of the blocks and you can't go 3-0 down to New York after 15 minutes and expect to get back into the game, can you? There's not too many teams in Ireland that will come back like on a junior football level that'll come back and get a result out of that New York team if you're going 3-0 down. So
yeah, they're more on the right time, aren't they? They're getting
they're picking up the results and sloppy. I seen some of the goals. It's sloppy. Penalty as well. I didn't think it was a penalty, but look, I seen the video of it, and then we missed the penalty as well.
They had the VO on it, did they?
Yeah.
Are you going to get VO, do you think?
I don't know.
They're great, York, man.
Yeah.
But the expenses in the subscription to them, they're like the camera, right? But the expenses, the yearly.
Is that what it is, yeah?
Catch it, yeah. Cretty R3, Parkville 2.
Par 1 down. Par 1 up, sorry.
Yeah, I heard it was a ding-dong of a game. Cretty missed the penalty as well. It had to be retaken. It was missed twice.
Jamie
Big
Maher
win for Parkville, that isn't, after losing 2 on the bounce to there.
Oh, Cretty Yard won, sure.
Yeah, but the big win for them is what I'm saying.
Big win for who?
Cretty Yard.
Sure, the BO's tweet before that.
Oh, well, it doesn't count, sure. Yeah. You're Minos.
Oh my God. Lock that door, Chris. It's going to be boxing right now.
They're back anyway. Vale 1, Clesham 1. Massive infantry Puppet 3-2.
Absolutely, yeah.
Big 3
Late
points.
Goal again, I think, was it?
Yeah, 95th minute or something, I heard. Dolman Celtic, Felix, massive win for Dolman 3-2. Yeah. Heard it was a great game of football. Very tough and physical.
Liam Ryan with a hat-trick.
Yeah, no surprise there. That's in him. In Division 2, Dolman Celtic B 1, Parkville 2, Cretty 3, Felix 3.
Salter hat-trick again.
I think that is Salter's 8th goal in 3 games. I think he had 2 hat-trick, I think.
Is it, yeah? Fair play.
He'll be on the back in the team before Christmas.
Yes.
Yeah.
Had him on a few weeks ago.
Where he got his skills from.
Good man. Division 3, Hanover 2, Joseph's 3.
Missed penalty.
Pa was bet.
Yeah.
Another week, another Fury breaking me heart. Mark Fury's just signing for Hanover Harps.
Yeah.
Don't come on for 5 minutes in midfield, Pa. You haven't got a clue. He's played centre half his whole life.
Did you, Pod?
Yeah, no, yeah. Timu. Ballymurphy 5, Burn Celtic B2, Bagnallstown B1, Wolf Hill 2. Into the ladies, Parkville 1, Parkville 2, New Park 3, Ballymurphy 1, Creer 3.
A little birdie told me, Podge.
Yeah.
I think the Ballymurphy was.
I hate doing these results.
There was a Ballymurphy game cancelled again, abandoned again.
Division 1, yeah, I don't know what happened though.
No. That would be the.
And the referee got injured in your game. Look at he was linesman.
Well, they did. They cancelled one of the linesmen then.
Yeah, well, it makes sense, doesn't it?
Connor said it after a few minutes. He called both sets of coaches, obviously, and said that his
not really.
hamstring is gone or something like that. So he had to go off and gave it to young Farrell of Nerney, I think.
Well, did a good job.
He referee. I don't know.
In the youths, yeah, Bagnallstown A3, Feix 3, Burn Celtic 7, Collection 2, Hanover 5, Joseph's and Hanover are motoring that youths, aren't they?
That was actually 13.
Oh, Jesus. Why don't you put down the proper score?
I don't know. It annoys me. It's not good for anybody scoring 13 goals, but you scored and put them on the website.
In the Division 2, Joseph's 2, Bagnallstown 7. That's Bagnallstown's B team. Parkville 1, Ballymurphy 1. Newark 7, St. Pat's 4. Beat the Rapids, yeah, 7-4. In the under 18s, on ladies, Ballymurphy 3, Feix 5. In the Division 3, Collection 1, Nerney 3. In the ladies, Pats 5, Nerney 0. Vale 2, Mill Celtic 2. At last we're finished. I absolutely hate doing the results. I feel like such a nerd, man.
You, will you?
Tony, sorry you had to endure that. Absolutely pathetic piece of audio.
Ladies football on nowadays.
Brilliant, isn't it? It's great, yeah.
When we were playing, there wasn't.
No.
When I was playing, there wasn't anything there. It's great.
They took a bit of a belt during COVID, Tony, and they went down to small sided last year, I think. Was it, Papa?
They went 7-a-side, yeah, and then pre-COVID was 11-a-side, and then they went to 7-a-side.
Yeah,
11-a-side now.
When I was finishing up, and then so very good.
It really has progressed, and it's progressed into a youth division as well, which is obviously makes sense if you want to feed it through, right, to keep, and that'll create more divisions then at the senior level.
Very good.
Tony, how are you? How's things?
Good, thanks. A bit stressed after coming out of Dublin, but all good.
Yeah, traffic.
Traffic going in, traffic coming out.
Well, I tell you what, Carlow's gone as bad.
All towns are going that way, I think.
They are, aren't they?
No, all good though. Can't complain. Busy.
Talk to me. Where do we start? Tell the world your story. Your
soccer career.
Yeah,
that's where we start, is it?
You started Pats, juveniles.
Yeah, I remember going over to Tom Hennessey's house in Chelly Avenue at the time and signing the three of us from the estate. We used to always play in the green beside our house, and we got asked to go over, sign up for St. Pat's, and we went over, and I remember making my debut. Do you know the pitch behind the school? It used to be there.
Oh yeah, the graveyard. Yeah.
So I made my debut there.
Ibrox, what it's called. Yeah.
In a 4-3 loss, I scored on my debut. I remember I was delighted with myself because you play in the green side.
Yeah. What were you now, Tony?
10 at the time.
10 right, okay.
Oh,
so I played under 11s. Ben Dowling was the coach. Players like Terry Dillon Jr., Johnny Lanning was in the goal. Malley, Niall Whitney. Players like that, was
Ben's lad playing as well in that?
I don't know, I can't remember. No, I don't think so, but Ben Dunn was coach. And then we went to it was 85, was it? Madonna True Blue concert was in Wembley at the time. We went over to visit Wembley in London, another way to go over.
Yeah, you won one of them trips, yeah.
And I actually got player of the tournament over there. I was supposed to win a Pat Nevin jersey, but never got it. But the highlight of the trip, we were staying in this house in London. And the highlight trip for me, I was in with Gavin Dunphy and Niall Whitney, three of us from his house, and the highlight of our trip was finding a bra underneath the pillow in the room we were staying in. So that was
boys filled the club straight away.
We went to under 13 final, Kilkenny Cup final. I remember Kenny Marr scored in the semi-final cracker against Corinthians. I think was Evergreen best in the final. We lost 1-0, and the team just got stopped after that for some reason. So again, I took a kind of step out, and then looking back when we were kind of writing the book, I think I took a step back over everything. I don't know what happened. Maybe it was I was working, I was babysitting and kind of trying to make money. I think that was probably an early sign that money was starting to have a big impact in my life. Then I went back to Pats then, playing with like Clockney was playing front at the time, and a couple of other players. Can't remember who was on it. I think Dinny Ryan was still in the goal actually, and
playing Kilkenny League at the time.
Yeah, playing Kilkenny.
Early 90s, right?
Yeah, I think but Troy was drinking like fuck like as well. Like, partying. And my one memory of that, like I don't think we done okay. Like I remember, used to always love watching the newspaper reports coming in before games. My one memory of that is, remember I was out the night before. I'm sure it was late getting home. I think it was either working at Seven Oaks, I think at the time, or else I think it must have been Seven Oaks or early days in Scraggs. So I was dragged up out of bed. And Glenn Townsend. Lads like that were playing. Like, I remember I was dragged up. Come on at half time. We were a man down because we were come on at half time. Scored my first touch. The kick off, chased the left back out, puked on the sideline, walked off the pitch. Me 1-0. Cool, so I really highlighted that. And then Brendan Powell actually asked me to go play for Stretford. And that's for met yourself. We played for Stretford for a good few years. Played with some brilliant players, Stretford, as we know. And then your brother Pat kind of wore me down to go to Hanover. I think I scored 2 in my debut for the B team. Played with your brother David and some great players. Like we played in the team, a lot of the young lads that came up. The lads that eventually won the league. Lads eventually were kind of going to the B team. Lads eventually won the league, like Simon O'Shea, Robbo and lads like that. Johnny Waters, kind of all, who else was there? Hessian.
Jason Murphy, all
Jason Jason was in and out a little bit. He was kind of coming back. Shaw was there, myself. And we were Seven Power the elder. She's past still playing, is he?
He's three tago.
Fucking madman.
He put the hand on the and he just runs, doesn't he?
Yeah, he was all some great times. And then I suppose everything happened, which we'll go into, I'm sure. And I don't know, I could have went to New Oak over 35s before that, because Hanover didn't have an over 35s then. Play with Brian Walker up front. Fucking brilliant. Really enjoyed playing with Brian. And we won the PG Duffy and Sprocket, a couple of lads.
That was the first year of it. I think that was the first year.
Yeah, we were playing we won the League and Cup double that year. It was a great crack. And then I think it all broke then. I'm not sure, timelines are kind of gone. But I suppose one of the most enjoyable ones was when I came back out and went back to Carroll Rovers. And, I was asked to go back and, poor old no person, God bless you, so like, and playing with that, and just the acceptance I got going back was brilliant, like, and really enjoyed that. We won the League and Cup double. I don't think we lost a game until we lost I think I only scored 1 or 2, but I was unfit and kind of was always unfit, but I remember I won the goal of the year, like at the awards night, and it was one of the proudest top goal scorers and stuff like that for Stretford and stuff like that, but it was just winning that was that acceptance coming back into life, I suppose, which was kind of. And then I moved down with my partner down to Waterford. It was always Saturdays and stuff like that, so I couldn't
commute and all that crack.
Come up and down, I couldn't justify it, so I stopped playing probably.
Not playing anything in Waterford at all?
I went to school with a fella called Aidan Keegan. He asked me to go to play after AstroTurf about 3 years ago. Like, I'm 50 this year, or was 50 this year, and about 47 going to play on AstroTurf. Sure, I pulled every muscle that I have. I couldn't walk for about 2 or 3 days, so I just thought, unless I start doing that walking soccer, I think that's it. But it really, for anyone's out there playing, like, I know it's the old cliche, but I enjoy it, because as soon as you stop, it's just. And I looking back now, even through what I was going through personally, but also how important sport is for young people. Like, I really wish I put more into it. There was times, like, when I started in the post office, when I was on the bike flying, I scored some 20 odd goals in my first season in the A team. I was flying fit.
We went training, remember we went running 5 weeks before the season started to get fit.
And then Mick Long pushed me off a stage in Miley Doran's wedding, and I went over my ankle. I was in bits after. I was crying my eyes out, because I was after training so hard.
We did
hard getting the team back then. There was some great players, like, so. So that's my soccer career. Some really good moments, but a couple of good ones. Thank God there's no cameras there nowadays. Like myself and Niall Byrne one morning out till 6 a.m, and 2 of us, him on one sideline puking, me on the other. And stuff like that was really enjoyable. I really enjoyed it. I think the league has gone a bit more professional.
Remember we played a game when I was Stretford one time.
Do you
remember this one?
Yeah.
Over in St. Pat's.
Yeah.
I don't know what the score was in the game around, but I was playing obviously, and I come off. Byrne went on for me. So I just walked around. I was getting an injury or something, and I walked around the back of the old pitch to where the shape it was, and I walked into the dressing room. I wasn't announced to anybody. No goals were going in or anything. I just walked in, and Burno was sitting down the dressing room. So, what are you doing there? So not going for me. I'm thinking a red card, man. The referee made a terrible decision. I said, what did you do? I just caught him up there near the neck with a tackle.
All right, okay. Yeah. It's the referee's fault, isn't it?
Yeah, he was an animal though, wasn't
Gas
he?
man.
But that Stretford team back then was something else.
Very good, yeah.
I think you mentioned to try to think of a top, first 11.
Yeah.
So I'll try to think of one. I'd have majority of them. I might have to help with some of the
Super.
names. I had like a save now.
Park it till the end.
Parker,
Yeah.
this comes at the end, Tony.
Oh, does it all very good?
Yeah, so you have
I haven't.
you have to multitask here now. Tell your story and pick a team at the same time.
As I said, I don't listen to many podcasts, but when I got from Podge text me, I've definitely made it now, being on this one.
Yeah,
I've been on the two Norries, I've been on the Talking
Yeah.
Bollocks, I've been reviewed by Ray Darcy 3 times.
News Talk.
Baz, News Talk.
Yeah.
But I've made it. I've finally made it. I can retire after this now. This is the.
Tell me about
this is pinnacle.
about the Baz documentary. Like, was that close to you were out of jail? Like, what's the timeline there with that?
No, it was close to the book coming out.
Oh, okay.
They contacted me and asked me would I do it, and I said I'd love to be involved in it. And of course, it was my idea to go up to the north, like in Egypt. And of course, as soon as I was back in the hotel room, we brought it all back, you know. So it was kind of like, it was gas. Like we were. I met Baz that morning. I hope he might be listening, but maybe he does. But I remember meeting that morning, and he'd forgot to pack in his jeans, so they had to film us from the waist up for the whole, because he was only wearing an up pair of shorts. Yeah, but he got him in the afternoon. But it was really good. Like, he was very understanding and sympathetic to it. It was the week that the book came up. It was also the week that my thesis was due for college.
Okay.
And then I went on to the Tonight Show with Ivan Yates, and I remember I had a bad experience on that, because it was like a rabbit in the headlights. Like, I'd have no problem going on now, but you know, when you start doing stuff like this,
Sure, you haven't a clue what's happening. Like, what's going on?
And we only got a 5-minute segment, and I remember just I felt very vulnerable after. It was a tough week, and you know, in recovery, you have to be very mindful of stuff like that. But that was about 2018.
Okay.
As far as I remember now, again.
Triggers? Many triggers when you went back into the room?
Going up to it, because it was back in the hotel where, you know, you were suicidal in the hotel room. You know, like,
Does this sound silly? Like, can you smell it? Like, when you go into that room, is it the same kind of like feeling, or are you so far separated away from it that the sense of
the whole lot?
I don't know about the hotel room that time, but definitely I do a bit of work back in the prisons, but you definitely get that sense when you go back in. There's definitely
to say you never lose that, don't
all
they?
the senses, but it's the same as, you know, if you smell a perfume from an ex-girlfriend and bring you back.
That's what I mean, you know.
Yeah, it's like it connects all the senses. But I don't think in the hotel, I definitely think the visual of it.
But that's unavoidable.
But like, I was in such a mindset back then of a blur that I wouldn't remember probably what it was like, I suppose.
Like, I have listened to a lot. I've listened to every podcast you've been on, and I listened to him again in the last week since we were coming on, right?
Fair play.
I just think the story is fascinating, right?
It really is.
And the one thing that stands out that you're extremely open about is that time in that room and the suicide thoughts. Like, I've never been sat so close to someone who contemplated that, right? And I think it's a fantastic opportunity to get in behind the psyche of it. Like, is it an escape? Do you know that people say, they're just escaping? Like, is it an escape? Like,
this is up the north, and
it's an overwhelmness. It's kind of like, you know, it's hard to describe. Like, I don't think it was suicidal ideation. I don't think I would have gone, you know, like there was half plans made and stuff like that. Like, the one thing I'm very mindful talking about, because it might trigger stuff for some people, but I know that the one thing that stopped me was obviously didn't want to leave my daughter when I answer questions. I'm sure she'll hear this at some stage, or she might hear it through it other ways. But it's that thing of, you're looking at, it's so overwhelming, because as you can imagine, when it gets to that point, it's just like you're expecting, you know, you're at the edge, you know that it's going to catch up, and it's nearly like it's a way out. It's kind of like it's a way to stop that madness going on in your head, because like you can imagine the madness going on in the head, like you're playing out all the scenarios, you know you're going to get caught, you know, it's just a way of stopping
the battle.
Is it a guilt, Tony?
There's a mixed match of everything: shame, guilt, worry, failure, everything. Like, it's just like it's hard to describe it. It's the way I often describe the addiction. Like, when I'm doing the school talks, I'll always say about, like, you know, I needed to have a bet first thing in the morning, because it felt like someone was in there trying to smash the boat with a sledgehammer, and that's what it felt like. The only way I could stop that was by gambling. So it was literally like I knew it was all coming around, so I wouldn't be able to escape from that anymore. So the only other way to stop the thing would be checking out. And again, it was there, was very strong in me, but then the will to get through this and come out the far side kind of took over, and the will not to leave people with unanswered questions.
But,
and for a lot of people, it's that touch and go. Like that's
but I'd say that. And we'll go back to the start, right? I like going to the.
I jump straight.
I love it.
It's nice to talk about different aspects of it.
100%. So the will to change, like the percentage of that, if this is a pie chart at that time, is a slither.
I think a bit more. I think it was. It happened so quickly because I was found using Google Maps. It's mad how I was found. It's always that one step left or one step right. Half an hour later, what would have that sliver been like? Could have been less. Could have gone the far side. I don't know. I'll never know, thank God.
You were found using Google Maps?
Oh, yeah.
That's how they found you?
Yeah, I know that, no.
I thought it was in a betting office. You made a bet.
Yeah, I'll go into that later on, yeah.
But you know what it is? See the mindset you had.
It was from the back of that, yeah.
Right, yeah.
But you know the way you're obviously a local lad, right? You're a Carlow lad. And I'm sure you know this, and you definitely know this. I didn't know, I only heard the story. You will hear 150 variations of what happened.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure there's some lad said, yeah, Tony went in to the bookies with Balaclava and M16 and he threatened you. You know what I mean? Things escalated.
Yeah.
We had real deal here now.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, you're hearing B-Tech stuff. Do you know what I mean? So we've gone to the finish.
Yeah, we'll go back to the start.
Let's go back to the start.
Where do you want to start?
You tell me.
What's your first bet?
Clybert, 98. It was my first recollection. I was working in Scraggs. Never had a bet before. 24, which is ancient in comparison to what we're seeing nowadays.
Were you in the post office and Scraggs at the time, or just Scraggs?
Just started in the post office in February.
Yeah, right.
So I was still doing part-time. In Scraggs for a couple of years. I won't mention his name. I was sitting at the counter having a few pints, and he said he was going on to place a few bets in the match. And I said, I go down out of interest. And I went down and I was looking at, Clybert score first, and I thinking, that fucker, like, he's okay to curse, I said.
Yeah.
That fucker, like, he destroyed our dreams in Anfield 2 years later in the Euros.
That's right, yeah.
I said, I'll put a bet on him. But as I was looking, I saw the special for Clybert score first in Holland to win 2-1. The odds were 45-1.
What attracted you to it?
The odds. And the fact I used to carry much cash when I was in Scraggs, so I had a couple of coin in my pockets. I said, sure, I'll stick £1 on it. I said to him, man, like, that's what I'm going to do. Show me to right with the dock. And he said, I'm going to be mad to do that. Chance of that happening are so slim. So I said, it's only £1. It's only a bit of crack to watch the match. So we went up to watch the match. The match kicked off. Clybert scored first up to 12 minutes. And the buzz and excitement I got when that goal went in. Now, I'm a big Liverpool fan, as you know. Well, you know anyway, Pop. Yeah. And it was something like I've never felt before. This was different. And then Argentina equalised after about 17, 18 minutes. I think Lopez or some player called Lopez equalised. Yeah. And all we need now is Holland score one more goal. So I didn't know that, the ins and outs of it. So it was 1-1 at half time. And we started telling everyone about the bet, so the bit of an interest grew. Scraggs front bar, a bit of an interest grew. We're all.
But also, like £1 now to a 45-1, we've seen nothing.
No, about
£1 then in 98 to 45-1 odds then.
Yeah.
So it's like.
About equivalent fiver in today's terms to win €200. Probably about half a week's wages for me back then. When I started in Scraggs, my wages were €98 a week.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And a pack of fags was at €1 or something like that. And a pint was whatever it was. But I remember then Newman got sent off for Holland early in the second half. So we thought it's definitely not going to win. So it was like watching Man City against Arsenal a couple of weeks ago. On the attack, waves of attack.
Yeah.
But then Ortega tried to headbutt Edmund van der Sar a few minutes to go, and he got sent off. So 10 against 10 for the last few minutes.
That's right, yeah.
And I remember just saying to your man, I said, geez, we're back in the game, we've got extra time, they're definitely going to come on the attack. It's been sitting back for so long, they're going to win. It's written in the stars. And he said, no, it only lasts 90 minutes. And I thought, fuck. And then he said, as we know from watching knockout soccer, the game kind of peters out, and they were just passing the ball away. I think it was Frank de Boer sent a long ball from defence.
And Diag,
and then Bergkamp done what Bergkamp, diagonal ball, and then Bergkamp done what Bergkamp done. And it wasn't how it just happened. It was the way it happened. The last minute goal, cracker goal. You know that from watching sport. All your listeners will know that from watching sport. And we were jumping around celebrating as if Ireland won the World Cup, like the two of us. Went down, collected the money, came back up. We got started drinking. I finished the work at 6, free drink for the night. Yeah. Telling everyone about the bet. Everyone congratulated me. And for someone who always felt he wasn't good enough or good at anything, like I always said, I became addicted as much to that affirmation as I did to the potential money.
The monetary, well, just what you've said there, basically, you've excluded the monetary side of it.
Yeah, but the monetary side of it is part of it. So, generally, when you work with someone with a gambling problem, like I've worked in the area for a long time now, it's generally a positive first experience. So it doesn't matter if it's
a gain.
Yeah, it's the gain, but it's also the gain feeling wise.
Gotcha.
As well as money. So like it could be £45, it could be £45,000. Depends on what it means to the person. But for me back then, it was money, a free night out. But also the feeling I got from it, this was like double whammy.
Yeah.
I remember telling everyone at the bed, and everyone congratulated me, went out drinking. I think I broke up with my girlfriend that night. We were so drunk. And then we got so drunk that night.
Gas, £45 free night out.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
You wouldn't get two rounds for it now.
You wouldn't get pizza and Domino's for it.
We stole lemons from behind the bar. We reenacted the goal using the lemons in the bar for the scrags. Got drunk. We were going to bed that night thinking, this is easy. I love this. I want more of this. And that was my first ever experience of placing a bet. And generally it's usually a positive first experience. And that stayed like that for 5 years, normal bets. I think we used to do them on soccer Saturday.
Me and you used to do the bet, Tony. I used to do a Monday night every night in Scraggs, and the Lemons used to play with the back of Scraggs. Yeah. And I'd run the back bar.
Yeah.
$20 run the front, and Tony go up and get a shower on his break, come back down fresh to daisy in, he comes and we'd play a game of cards the night after work. Same 5 or 6 lads, staff would come back the whole lot. But geez, it was brilliant.
But it was like that for 5 years. But then in 2003 I got €50 voucher for Paddy Power. And that changed everything because you had to open up an online account back then.
I've heard you saying that. I've heard you saying that you went to a Paddy Power with that voucher.
Yeah,
right? And I want to ask you this: if they had to change that over that counter there now.
What do you mean by that now? Just in regards
so basically it had to be used online, right?
Yeah, but you're saying change it.
If they had said, we could take that here, do you think that would have changed anything?
Who knows? I could have ended up getting online afterwards. Like, again, it's something that everyone gambles online nowadays nearly. I don't know. Like,
but that was the trigger.
It.
Yeah, it just because I went on and some of the bets I was doing to start was Fiver and Roy Keane gets set off as one of the bets. Fiver, Michael Owen scored the first goal. Tenor and Henrik Larsson scored the first goal. I'm showing my age now. But that was the kind of bets at start. But then to lodge more money onto your online account, you couldn't do it. You had to do it by electronic means. Yeah. So it was kind of like, like I had the old bank link cards back then, so I didn't have the transfer. We called the drink link cards in the AAB. So I had an MBNA credit card, and that became my lodgement method. So like I'm sure anyone who buys anything on credit, it didn't feel like real money because you're gambling on credit. So the amounts of bets started to rise. I was able to do from the comfort of my own bedroom. The amounts of money started to rise, the amounts of bets started to rise, and that was the start of it.
I work in fraud, and I do a lot of work with AML, anti-money laundering, and I don't think I've ever seen a trigger for a betting company come in. Yeah, and I'm actually. I was thinking about this driving home from work to here, and I was thinking, like, the smallest of things could set an alert on a card.
Yeah,
I'm not saying I haven't seen betting companies come in for alerts or even for fraud, but I'm saying it's very rare they will trigger a robotic alert or a block on a card. Even today,
I think that will change. Legislation, regulation came in there last 100%. I think that will change. But even from money, I know we're jumping ahead a bit, but that from a money laundering point of view, my case is classic because it was never, like, I worked in the post office, I kind of put in money laundering things because someone was sending money by Western Union every week, but it was never anything, and I can get into bits of that later on, but it was just even from a money laundering point of view, it was never flagged. So I think that will change because new legislation, regulation, but back then
it really has to, doesn't it?
Different landscape. Oh, it does, yeah.
It has to change. Yeah, it has to change. Like, look, it's becoming so, listen, it's a digital world now. Yeah. And unfortunately, that's how fraud is carried out, right? Yeah, it's gone
quick movement.
Like you're skimming cars now, and skimming devices and ATM is all news. Do you know what I mean? It's all digital wallet transactions. But anyway, that's another podcast. That's fucking Podge's Job podcast. So you've ramped up. You've gone online. Yeah, the pseudonym happens.
Yeah. The bets start to rise, and there's always one bet. There's a few kind of smaller bets, but what happens is I'm in about €1,000 of debt when the bet that I always say changed everything. The 2005 UEFA Cup final was now the Europa League. CSK and Moscow were playing sport in Lisbon, and CSK Moscow were 1-0 down at half time when I arrived home from work. So I went online, partner sitting beside me. She knows I gamble, she knows I have an online account, but she still thinks I'm doing fivers and tenors. She doesn't know now that I'm doing €50 bets or some average bets because it's gone up. And I've had a few big wins, a couple of €100 wins. And the thing is, the tolerance goes up, like from fivers and tenors to hundreds. It's like alcohol, the tolerance goes up. It's very hard to go back to just have 1 pint. It's very similar. You can't go back to fivers and tenors because the buzz and excitement is not the same. So this bet, I arrive home from work, sitting on the couch, log on to my online account, 10-1, and I really fancied CSK Moscow to win the tournament. Wagner Love was playing up front.
Wagner won, yeah.
And Zirkov used to play left back for Chelsea.
Yeah.
Was it? He scored, I think, the third goal. And I remember I went on 10-1 and I went, jeez, this is a great bet. So that's the first time I hid my gambling from my partner. I moved the laptop a little bit to the left so she couldn't see the screen. She couldn't see how much money I was putting on. And as I was about to place the bet, I looked and I saw the West Ham were playing Ipswich in the playoff semi-final, and I fancied Bobby's Moore to score the first goal. It was 0-0 at half time. So I put a €50 double. And then I put the bed on, put down the laptop cover so she couldn't see what I'd done. Went up to have a shower, come back down to watch the second half. And I remember she got into the kitchen at the stage, and I was flicking between Sky Sports and I think it was ITV1 or something. And within 11 second half minutes, starting about the 56th minute, CSK Moscow equalised, then it went 2-1 up. So I was going, all right, good, nice one. Switched over to Sky Sports. Marlon Haywood had just squared the ball. Bobby Moore scored the first goal. Brilliant. I let a huge shout on me in the sitting room up celebrating. Now, I'm generally not one to shout telling us Liverpool were playing. Yeah. So my partner stuck her head and said, what's the story? Are Liverpool playing? And I said, no, that's next week. That's the Champions League final 2005. Yeah. That's mixed emotions for that night, as we know. But yeah, so I remember that's the first time I lied about my gambling. I told her a €10 6-team accumulator. I was due to win €700 just to say I'll give you a few euro towards the wedding stuff if it comes in. And then Sporting Lisbon hit the post and hit the bar twice, but then CSK Moscow broke, and I think it was Wagner Love scored the third goal, and I won the bet. And again, when I'm checking my balance, I moved the laptop to the left because I knew I'd won a lot more than a couple of €700. Yeah. When I hit refresh, it was €4,950. And my initial reaction wasn't this is brilliant. My initial reaction was shite. Why didn't I put €100 on it? Why didn't I put €200? So gambling was this way for me.
So you weren't. I wasn't a youngster like, jeez, my €1,000 deficit is gone now.
No, I paid up. But what happened?
Happy now. I've 3,900 profit.
No, what happened was
take it out and go.
No, it was a mixed. It was really strange because the gambling at that stage, different look at it, I suppose. But what I done was I put the money back in our parents' account. I put €200 into my own account. I used to have a big vinyl collection or a music collection.
Always did, yeah.
Always did. Still, I'm having it again now. That's another story.
Pearl Jam.
Pearl Jam and The Cure. But I remember I put a couple €100 into my own account because I had a couple of albums I wanted to buy. Put €1,000 back off the credit card, so that was cleared. But then I left €3,000 in my online. I left it in my online account as free money. I started doing bigger bets. By the time Liverpool had won the Champions League final on penalties the following week, I'd lost the €3,000 trying to chase that win. I think I had €450 on the final. And that was the last bit of money because obviously it was a draw. And I got some money back in some specials. And then what happens is your whole brain flicks and you start chasing that loss. So I started chasing the 3,000. It's not that you're chasing the 50, your mindset changes. It's hard to explain. And within 4 or 5 weeks, I'd maxed out my credit card for €5,000. So my gambling to start with a €5,000 win.
See that €5,000 win. You open the laptop, you're disguising it, you see that figure of £5,000 or touching it. Is it a different feeling from the £45?
100%, because it's not in your hand. It's only a figure on a screen. You say you're working digital. Yeah, it's just a figure on a screen. It doesn't feel. It never felt like real money.
So you're saying
no matter what the amount was.
Yeah, I can best this. I can go again, and I can
pay for my holidays. I can pay for the wedding. I can pay for a new car because gambling's become its way to make money easily.
Yeah.
And like I was always a slave to money. I used to always buy the nicest things, stereos and everything when I was younger, because that used to alleviate some of the anxiety I used to felt when I was younger. So it was nearly like a coping skill after the original coping skill of spending money or surrounding myself by nice things. So this was, oh wow, this is brilliant. I can buy, Yeah. So it's just, and then what I done was I got it kind of hit me, crap, after losing all this money. So I got a loan from the bank. Could get loans willy-nilly back then.
Yeah.
Willy-nilly. And then I actually put off the money back credit card, straight transfer from the bank, started gambling again, trying to win back the money. Fast forward 2 years, 2 weeks before my wedding, and €25,000 in debt, no one has a clue. Because I work in the post office, I can intercept the mail. So no one sees the bank statements coming in with all the transactions, the MBNA credit card statement coming in with 7 pages of Paddy Power transactions, because that's all it was. No one knows how much money I'm earning because I can hide that from everyone. Like I used to work with someone in the UK before. He used to meet his postman religiously every Monday morning. You'd love this now. Give him 50 sterling not to deliver his mail for the week.
No,
to hide it from his wife. So that's how bad you want to hide it, because you know that if that comes in, you're going to get caught, and you're so desperate trying to get back to zero. So that's where it ended up.
But that is the main word, desperation, isn't it?
Desperation, yeah.
Do you understand you're in a race you can't win?
Sorry?
Like, do you understand that at that point that you're in a race that you can't?
You can't think rationally. It's like, do you ever hit a wall of frustration? physically.
Yeah.
Do you know that moment before you hit the wall? Are you thinking about breaking your wrist or breaking your hand?
No,
Because you're gone past that point of no return. I was in that constant state of, it's called hyper-arousal in counselling terms. It's not sexual, by the way. Hyper-arousal is that you're kind of outside that window of tolerance. It's a great book called The Chimp Paradox. Okay. There's like the chimp brain and the human brain. You're automatically in that flight or flight the whole time. It's very hard to get back. And gambling's the only thing that can bring you back to that level thinking. But then you're dealing with all the shite that's there. And then you go back into try chase. Well, it really just is, it's like a whirlwind that doesn't stop. You got no respite from it.
Do you find it hard to live your normal life then? Like with your partner at the time, and
you're living two lives.
You're acting, ain't you?
Yeah, sure. Even in the book, like it was like Declan described, it was nearly like an alter ego, Tony Ten and Tony O'Reilly. Even on the soccer pitch, I'm at the later stage when I stolen the money. Like you're pulling out. Like I wasn't a hardy player like the Burnos or the teams, but you were pulling out tackles. If I get injured, I'm going to. So it has an impact. You're there and you're going to matches. You're out for pints. You're trying to normal, and inside you're absolutely dying. You know that you're.
Yeah, it must be some feeling.
It's very hard to describe the inner pressure I was under for that at the time. And the only way you feel you can fix it is by gambling your way out of it. And then you do things you'd never dream of doing, like what I did.
But it from an emotional standpoint, Tony, it's very hard to share that problem because it's your problem.
But as young people back then, you were it was like boys don't cry. No one talked about their feelings and emotions. Now it's getting a little bit different nowadays with younger people, but there's anything you don't talk about feelings and emotions.
No. Yeah.
Like we still probably don't.
Not enough.
Us old school fellas probably don't. I probably do a bit more now because of my experiences and my training and etc. But it was that thing of you're just holding it all in because you didn't want to admit you had a problem with anything, but let alone gambling. Imagine it's nearly like Paul Merson says, people say when the fun stops, take time to think. Even the say for gambling messages in the ads now will say you should be able to stop because you're not putting a substance into your body. But we still have that thing, why can't you just stop?
Yeah.
Still that, if you remember years ago with depression.
It's like people addicted to cocaine, addicted to drinking. It's an addiction in the story. Yeah. It's easy to say that, but it's not.
But with gaming or social media or with gambling, it is that mindset of you're not putting a substance in your body. It doesn't. It's not altering the brain, but it is altering in different ways. Like Paul Merson, famous in his book, to paraphrase it, he used to say people think you should be able to stop gambling with willpower. And he says, try stop diarrhea with willpower and see where it gets you.
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So we still think, and that's why, sometimes to the detriment of my own self, I've told a story very publicly, trying to create awareness so that people can see that this is a real addiction. It was only, again, going to psychobabble, it was only put into the DSM-5, which would be a diagnostic manual in 2013. It was seen as an impulse control disorder. Now it's seen as a full-blown addiction, and now it's only getting the research now that it deserves. And
I think the addiction spectrum doesn't have to be that broad for it to sit in there either, right? Because it is a serious addiction.
Huge addiction. It's impacting 1 in 30 adults in Ireland.
But you know what's so funny? I'm going to go back to the story, right?
Sorry, I could talk here for 4 hours.
Yeah. Are you alright for 4 hours, Chris? Yeah.
I'd like to get home.
Do you know the stats behind how many times a betting ad pops up at a live football match?
Hundreds, isn't it?
I think it's every 6 seconds.
Or messages, messages. It might be just
on the hoardings or a snippet or something. It's
commentary.
Every 6 seconds.
If you watch that rather than the matches.
So if you had someone selling some narcotic to someone who's an addict, do you know what I mean, in that window of time, you get 15 years in prison.
Of course.
Right? So I don't, because it's the same, I'm not saying the addictions are the same. The psychological thing behind addictions, I presume, will be roughly around
similar,
the same. Yeah. But so why isn't there any punishments or restrictions or, do you know what I mean? I just don't get it.
So there's a couple of things now. I think it's still seen as very much a social thing. Like same with alcohol, is seen as a real social thing in Ireland. But if you look, before 2 weeks ago, we were working from the 1931 and 1956 Gambling Act, which isn't fit for purpose in an analogue world, let alone digital world.
1931 Gambling Act.
Yeah, 1956. I think Elvis Presley had a hit with Heartbreak Hotel. That's how long ago since the legislation.
Wow.
Now the lottery.
That's the rule they were working under.
That was
There
would have been some lottery ads or lottery. There would have been some, but that was mainly. So there's basically no legislation. Did you know that actually slot machines are legal in Dublin because it's Dublin City Council, but yet you can't go up there without being bombarded them? That's a different story again. So we're working from those laws. So, but also the public perception of it. It's still seen as this bit of crack, and a little bit of that is lobbying from the industry, because it's a huge, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry in Ireland and the UK. So there's a lot of lobbying, like the taxes that they make off the bets. It's only from the betting shops, about 80 million a year. That all goes back into the racing industry and back into the Greyhound industry. It doesn't, and none of it goes towards the exchequer or towards treatment. There was no government funding for gambling addiction up until probably when this new legislation comes in. So we have that kind of, if that's the mindset of the government, we're waiting 13 years since the heads of the bill were published to when they were enacted. That was 13 years. The previous record was 3.5 years, which was for the alcohol bill, which was hugely lobbied against. So we were waiting 13 years. Shortly after my story broke, 13 years for it to get enacted up to 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
So that's a huge lobbying against that. So and then you have the social, because it is, and you'll always have the things in the bookies come out saying it's employs so many people. So it is that thing. The government are afraid of a shite when it's talk with job losses.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So sorry, we're going down rabbit holes here.
But I do get it as well. I'm just fascinated behind it, and I understand that there is a recreational insight into gambling, right? I understand it, and it's not the devil, right? Yeah. But I mean, surely there has to be some kind of border where, hold on, lads, this is, you're harbouring something here, lads, it's a bit much. Yeah,
so I'm not anti-gambling in any shape or form. And I want to say that from the offset, I'm not anti-gambling. I think it's something that's enjoyed by a lot of people, a lot of my friends gambling. I am anti-gambling harm. And new legislation, regulation comes in, won't impact the normal punter, but it will help people when, I didn't set out to become a compulsive gambler. It started off at A and ended up in Z. So it will create stuff that will highlight the person when they can't control themselves. A bit like we worked in pubs for a long time. Wasn't there a law right in that if someone's drunk, you say, it falls back on the barman. So if you come in a few months drink, I'll say to you, listen, Podge, you've had a bit much, come back tomorrow. Yeah. You don't get that in the bookies. They'll bring you on around the world trips or the Champions League final or Dubai races. They'll celebrate or give you a Paddy Power underpants, which I have a pair of at home. I'm going to wear them in the green cape going to the schools.
We're at your wedding, right?
Yes.
Yeah, go on. Talk to me.
I'm mindful, Tom, of this because it does bring it up for other people. The highlight of the wedding was the Sunshine Boys. One of them is sitting beside me here.
I was, yeah.
Do you want to hear that story?
Yeah, go on. Yeah, tell me.
So I arrived over a couple of days. The lads all came around. The lads drank the plane dry.
And of course, Pop?
Was, yeah.
Myself and two others, isn't it? Three others.
Three.
Can I mention names?
Yeah, of course.
Alan Shaw, Edmund Keaton,
Eddie O'Brien, yeah.
And the boys went and drank the plane dry, straight into the pool when they arrived at the hotel, started playing water polo. Didn't put any sunscreen on, of course.
Water polo.
Yeah. And got absolutely...
Like a bowler I was in the
So it's John O'Sullivan, my solicitor, who was at the wedding as well, who was the life and soul of the party. He talks about the Sunshine Boys. It's like the lads during the wedding, you were raw for about a week.
I wasn't. I'd say I was the best of the four of us. I got out at one stage. I remember looking over at Edmund and I was like, he's glowing. there's something not right here. Yeah. I looked over and I said, Ed, I think I was the only one. I think the boys had their head shaved.
Yeah.
And I had a bit of hair. I had it cut tight, obviously, but it was a bit. I was like, Jesus, that's not right. So I got out and I put on. I think I could have been. One of the lads, their partner, said to me, "You're going very red." I said, "Well, I'm not shy." So I ended up putting a bit of cream on, and I think it saved me. But Tony, tell you at the wedding, do you remember, Tony?
The lads' blisters were bursting the shirt. You see the pat, they got destroyed. And I remember we only went out a couple of nights, a night or two before we went back. The lads were only coming back to themselves, so it was really.
Me and Eddie sort of kept going. Alan and them got a bad. They had to sit with. They had gauzes on their back. They had to go to the hospital and get them surgically.
But that was
done
that was the backstory. So the wedding, I suppose, I suppose just to kind of give you a quick summary of it, I got into so much debt before the wedding. I was supposed to be saving money for the balance of the wedding, which was about €6,000, and I didn't have it saved. So I went to the credit union beforehand and couldn't get a loan, and then I managed to get the money together. But then when I arrived over there, I used to gamble on my laptop. But I also used to ring in my bets, my Nokia 3210, which some of your listeners will remember. I used to know my 16-digit credit card number off by heart, so I used to ring it in. So I was convinced I wouldn't be able to place a bet over there. So we were all there the first night. I think we're down the hotel. I think it was half and half. The guests arrived. We're singing, drinking, dancing for the night. I remember going to bed that night fairly full and going through the foyer of the hotel and seeing 3 PCs with internet access. So go over and put in £1 and got onto my Paddy Power account. So just to cut the story a bit short, over the next 2 or 3 days I managed to gamble through most of the money again, chasing losses again. And I remember then that I went online and saw that there was a bet ongoing that I'd forgotten about. I desperately tried to win the money back a few weeks before that. I'd done all these mad bets. And 2 parts of the bet had won. I think it was a Hurston and CV, I think. Third part was Derby County playing West Brom in the playoff finals.
Yeah.
I remember in the pool bar, we were all putting €20 on the bet, and I needed the team to win to keep the bet alive. So the 4th part of the bet was a horse called Authorised, the favourite in the Derby. So like I woke up the morning of my wedding, I'm not thinking about how beautiful my wife's going to look. I'm not thinking about whether my best man's going to make him ask me during the best man speech, which he fucking did. What was his last line? By the way, folks, chicken ain't birds and women aren't people. That was like I was doomed to fail. Niall Byrne. And all I was thinking about was I wasn't thinking about how the day was going to go. I remember thinking about if this horse doesn't win, I'm not going to be able to pay for the wedding because all the money was gone. So the wedding came and went. It was I was kind of having ups and downs all day. I was so stressed, like your normal stress of your wedding day. But then I remember we took over the hotel, like we drank like fuss, and we were down in the bottom part, and it was table service. And I remember Niall doing what best man now brilliant, like he's bought around for the. But then what happened was they all left the food bit and all the waitresses went to get this round, and I was like, where they all fucking gone? And I came back in, and I remember we had a huge argument. And I got this really brilliant band I'd heard before over there to do the thing, and like I remember I had a huge argument with the hotel manager because I was hiding, because me, I'm not an argumentative person, far from it. But I remember I missed the whole band. I missed Niall Byrne doing the strip. I missed my mother. My mother, God rest her soul, had a hat in front of him, and she pulled up. He'd done the full Monty at the wedding, and I missed all that because I was up arguing because that was the stress I was under. So I think the wedding went great day. Like I think Pat still talks about when am I getting married again? Where are we going away again? It was a brilliant time, but it was for
Paphos,
me.
Wasn't it, Tony?
Paphos, yeah. For me, it was tarnished a lot by gambling because I couldn't quite enjoy it. I disappeared on my stag party because we were down to Wexford and I was in Paddy Power all night. I think Alan Shaw had come looking for me at the time. And then we couldn't get into the nightclub because Sean O'Sullivan was so drunk. Another story. But I remember even I was saying, "Are you sure you want to get married?" Because I was presenting like someone who wasn't happy to be happy because I was under so much stress. So then 2 days after wedding, I still remember I was sitting on the hotel bed. The Derby County won 1-0 in the end. I was sitting on the hotel bed 2 days after the wedding. It's the English Derby. It's on the telly because it's the big race of the year. Yeah. Art Rice is 6-4 favourite. The Tory never won the Derby, and I remember sitting thinking, this has to win or I'm fucked. And he won. I'll never forget, he came from way back in the field and won at a canter at the end. And I showed a video in the presentation as well. And I remember I went into the bathroom, bit down my fist, started my screaming relief. I ran downstairs. The money dropped into my Paddy Power account, put straight off the credit card and paid the balance to the wedding. I remember thinking, this isn't right. Shouldn't be waiting on the horse to pay for anything. So I said I'll fix it when I come back. So I didn't gamble for the rest of the honeymoon. We stayed on for an extra week. Got back to Carlo and I said, right, I'm going to fix this. And I think I said to myself, the only way I can fix this is by doing what most gamblers do. I'm going to gamble my way out. But I have a big bet there. Just after winning, mindset was I was on a high. Just have to do this a few more times. She could ask to amalgamate the finance. Let's do this. And then I knew I was going to be able to get a loan from the bank in a couple of months' time, and started researching everything and had all my bets picked out. But I think the issue when you have a gambling addiction is that when I did get that money onto my online account, you don't gamble on the good sport of the weekend, you gamble on the next available event. Like I started gambling stuff like I got the money into my account and I couldn't stop myself. Like as soon as I got it into it, was like next available event. I gambled on Azerbaijan basketball, Peruvian netball, Russian under 13 table tennis, Himalayan under 17 reserve soccer. I even won money on Rosanna Davison time she won Miss World for Ireland. That's the gambling I was doing. And when you're gambling like that on stuff halfway across the world, you don't belong going through €6,000 if you are gambling €200 or €300 to go.
See that week where you had the honeymoon, you didn't gamble?
No, because I had no access to money.
Is it the front of your mind?
It's see what happens is it's like the best way to describe it is that there's between the compulsion and the acting out there's a space. So it's like you're trying to widen that gap. So like if I have a compulsion to gamble and I have access to money or have access to place a bet, it's like bang, 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 I have a bet on in 2 seconds. Probably not often gambling on your phones if you do place a bet. But what you're trying to do is widen that gap. So if you're working with clients, you'll talk about time, access, money, cutting off your access to money, your access to being able to place a bet, and also filling in that time or that void left by gambling. So when I was over there, I had no access to money because the money had been paid off to the hotel, thing, and you couldn't do that reverse withdrawals you can do nowadays. Mm-hmm. So that was paid off to the hotel, and I just stayed away. The shock was so much I stayed away from it. But then when you get back, you kind of go, I need to fix this. So I started gambling all that crap. And
so the separation doesn't cleanse it at all from your mind. It's you always knew that.
What, the week off it, like sort of.
Yeah, during the pandemic, an amount of clients said like because there was no horse race, if they were predominantly horse racing, they found it easy to stay away from gambling, or when they give control of money to a loved one, they find it easy. But the gambler will always find ways around get money. But in that week, definitely not. And I said, right. But when I got back, I was thinking, I need to fix this before she finds out I'm over 30,000 euro in debt. She still thinks there's 6,000 saved there for the wedding, so I need to get that back. So you start gambling and stuff. But then what happens?
I tell you, only you'd hit it farewell because you wouldn't have thought it at the wedding.
No.
Really?
No, you wouldn't have it. Everybody says, if anybody says different, but you're a spoofer, you're a liar.
But if you see,
you wouldn't have judged it. And I know lads are having drinks and all that kind of crack, and we're having the banter, and we had a great trip. We was going home on the way home, wake up Johnny Sullivan for a poem. Didn't we? At 6 in the morning.
For a joke.
Yeah, or a joke. And he tell us a joke. Yeah. But it was. Would you hit it so well, Tony?
Yeah, like even up to the end, like it's only afterwards people said, "Oh, that's why you were talking about second division German soccer on the way to matches. That's why you were withdrawn when we were playing poker and going all in on hands you shouldn't have, because you were on the phone gambling thousands." So you hit it, but there's cracks. You'll often see, hindsight's always a great thing. Like even in the book of evidence, when some of the staff that I worked with in Gorey, they were saying we noticed something different about them, but we put it down to newborn baby, life stresses,
smoke screens.
Yeah, but they never thought we something like gambling. Yeah. Like that's why I do what I do, to say, well, maybe gambling is part of that conversation. Maybe we should be part of that conversation.
But I suppose your story is so outrageous that it'd nearly be hard to believe if you knew.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's not the worst gambling story I've ever heard.
Oh, really?
Oh, like it's some of the stuff you hear. Like I work with tens of clients every week, and for the last 10 years I've heard stories that would it break your heart. Like lads who were stolen money from, the money was there to bury his father. Lads that was when he was on his grandfather's deathbed, he couldn't even say goodbye. He was trying to place a bet over the man's head. Stuff like that. Like it's,
oh my God,
you hear horrible stories. Lads who are gambling the money there that's been there for for the new house. It has a huge impact on the family as well, and people have lost their life to this addiction as well. So
you're that's nuts. So you're back in Carlow, so you devise a plan, like face from A team.
Yeah, lose.
Remember, sorry, before you go on to that page, remember we used to play the cards on a Monday night.
Just love it.
Right, we used to live for it, and lads would be
the Monday club
friends of ours that you would know very well. If they come down and they'd be working in Scraggs, but not that night, and they come down at 11:30, have a mineral, bag of potato, just get an old game of cards.
The one thing I missed,
5 or 6 of us loved it, and was always camaraderie. But I remember sometimes he used to say, "Hey, you texting or you fucking playing cards? What you doing?"
I was on the phone,
and he was on the phone all the time. And it sticks in my head ever since when he got caught. He was like, "Hey Tony, what are you doing?" And someone would say, "Playing Texas Hold'em, 50 pence in." Yeah, I was playing. Yeah, I'll make it a euro for cards. Boys, don't be doing that now. Yeah. He'd hate you, like.
I was losing about 15 grand on the phone. And
do you know what I mean? And I'm like, Jesus Christ, fucking 50 pence.
He just shows you. It's the one thing.
Shows you how it's hidden, Patch.
Yeah,
the one thing I said, I'd love to go back playing cards, but I know I can't. But I used to love them games. It was great crack, like.
But one bet trigger you, Tony?
Yeah, it's like alcohol. It's like if it's, I'm under no illusion that if I have one bet, I've worked with so many people, and 99.99% of people who ever had that one bet will go back to where they were.
How strong are you? Mentally, like?
Well, very strong mentally, because I'm in recovery.
An iota?
Oh no, I get compulsions. I was over at Liverpool Everton game a couple of years ago, and you arrive early in the morning, cheap flight, arriving to, on my own. Oh, this is deadly. You know yourself going to the match. Booked into Delphi, which is a fucking kip, so I couldn't book in. Oh, it's horrible. So I couldn't book in, so I'd leave the bags. And I'm walking the streets of Liverpool. What am I going to do? And then I'm walking past Ladbrokes and thinking, oh, fuck, no one knows me over here. I could go in there and spend a bit of time.
We close?
What?
We close?
Well, I would have entertained. I always say there's probably about 10 kind of notches on a relapse continuum. I was probably a 5 or 6. I was seriously considering. I had one a couple of weeks ago. I was in Dublin thinking, I could go in there and place a bet on a dog. It's usually a fleeting thought. Now, I might get 4 or 5 of them a year, but in Liverpool that time, I was, it was like, oh, no one knows, we could go in and place a few bets, I'd be fine, sure, who'd know, I have a bit of extra money on a bit of a high, so you don't necessarily have to gamble on bad emotions, it can be good emotions. Then I walked past it, and then my other addiction kicked in, which is shopping. Went to the Liverpool shop, fuck me, I bought a Henderson jersey, Virgil van Dijk jersey, Steven Gerrard fashion line jacket. I spent hundreds of euro in it. Like, I'm a bit too old and too fat to be wearing jerseys. And the 2 jerseys are still in the wardrobe. I never wore them once, but I had to buy it. The Steven Gerrard fashion line jacket was the most horrendous thing I've ever seen. I showed it to my partner. She's told me, that's terrible. She calls me Riley, right? That's terrible. And I gave it to charity the following day, but it was that need to spend. So it's very similar, but I would get compulsions, but not. I can manage it.
I have that, my wife would say the same. I have that retail therapy thing. Like, I'm a devil.
Short-term fix, yeah.
I am a devil. Like, if I see a jacket there in Dunn's, 25 quid, I'll get that.
You don't care what it costs, but when you have it, you're like, oh, yeah.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
Box ticked.
I'd have a very unhealthy relationship with money. I've even just got rid of my Revolut this week because I'm tapping. So I've got rid of it. Like I would have sold a lot of my albums and everything over the years, but I'm starting to creep back in. My partner stuck her head in. We've kind of down in Waterford, this kind of music room, and she stuck her. She called. Everyone calls me Riley. Riley, she says. She said, "What story? There's only 2 boxes of vinyl there a while ago, and there's 3 there now." And I was saying, yeah. And sure, everything I bought over the last couple of years has been a special offer.
Yeah.
She never listens to this. But it's that thing of need to spend for emotional regulation. That's still very much in me, and we hear about that. Like other people get it through TikTok, social media, pornography, shopping, eating, drugs, alcohol, whatever it might be. And we live in a world where a lot of us are, dysfunctional in our regulation of emotions.
But that addiction area, Tony, is getting so much bigger, isn't it? Like gone be the day's addiction was alcoholism or drugs.
Yeah.
But it was only 2, wasn't it?
Like it's you've eaten.
Yeah.
You said
Gaming. Gaming is coming right down the road after gambling.
Social media addiction.
Yeah. TikTok addiction.
Yeah. Netflix has been addiction.
But sure it is, because like how many times you binge watch, and it's addiction by design. They'll have that hook. You know the way that 5-4, I'll just watch the start of the next episode, because every episode at the end will have a hook into the next episode.
But even down to the production of the programme you're watching has a hook. The best part is the last scene always.
But the people just, I meet people every day down the post, and I look at them and going, have they actually any clothes? Like they're in the pyjamas every single time. No, they are. They're in the pyjamas every single hour of every day, and I'm going, do they not leave the house? Like,
you have one every week,
but they work from home. You'll be going out doing the post, and you see a lad cycling the bike with the just deep bag in his back, and he's dropping the breakfast or whatever it is.
I think that work from home thing is the devil.
Oh my God.
I do.
We live in a world where everything is like that, isn't it?
Yeah. Yesterday. We're gone off track again.
Yeah.
No, you were going. No,
that's my fault. I'm well left.
Back in Carlo. That was what you were going to say, Podge.
So I think to bring you back, Podge, I'll take over the podcast. I told you after I went and came back and gambled, I went and got more loans, and then I got to a point where I was nearly 45,000 euro in debt, and no one had a clue. Got the job, and I got promotion on post, and I was just about able to take up the position because we had partner was using, or my wife was using the other car, so I had to try to get money together for a second car. And like here I am rocking up in this old banged up Polo to the job, like, and here I am a branch manager, but every single penny. And my gambling changed. Polo, My gambling changed then because I was told by the banks you can't get any more loans. So I went back to doing 15 team accumulators, lottery. I was doing a lot more lottery, trying to get this big amount of money back. And then I went into Paddy Power one day in Gorey doing one of these mad bets, and I remember one lad said, see these new cash cards? I said, what are these? Now you can lodge cash into your online account. This was new. This was like music to my ears, because now I could lodge in cash. I could, didn't have to, transfer money electronically. I love the anonymous nature of gambling online, because you wouldn't be questioned if you're gambling 300 euro in an Azerbaijan basketball match. Yeah. So I started selling stuff again, stealing money from our savings, from the wedding cards, everything, and putting it into my online account and gambling it. And then that's when the fraud happens, because my back is against the wall. We find out that my wife is pregnant. I'm just like, where are we going to get the money for the baby? She thinks all this other money, there was nothing there. So to say for fraud to happen, 3 elements, you probably know this, 3 elements have to be there: pressure, opportunity and rationalisation. Pressure was immense. When she was having morning sickness at that stage of pregnancy, I was getting sick with stress every morning in the bathroom. I was comfort eating, I was dry retching. You could start seeing the cracks then, but then I was isolating from friends so someone wouldn't see the cracks. And the rationalisation was, or the opportunity was, I had access to the safes as a branch manager. My rationalisation, I'll just borrow some money, it'll be fine. I'll pay it back. And then started stealing from my employer, but rationalise it as borrowing.
Because of the rational, do you understand that it's bad?
No, because you don't see it as that. You don't see it as you see it as a necessity in that moment for the greater good, if that makes sense. I can't really, like, you're fighting against every value you have as a person, because I'm very honest. I was very open and honest. I like it, but I think when you're in that addictive place, you become a different version of yourself. Like in recovery, I had to separate who I believe I am as a person from who I was in addiction, from what people would say I was in addiction, like you're a scumbag or this, you don't understand. I can understand that's people's opinions, and people will listen to this and say that. I've had many people say that in Carlo at online board saying that's fine. But I know, for me, I had to separate. I feel I'm a good person, but in that moment, you will rationalise because your back is against the wall. It's that flight or flight. Now, people say I'd never steal, but if it's an apocalypse in the morning, you have to steal to feed your family, of course you would.
Yeah.
And this is like, no, it's not the same example, but it's that thing of you feel, what's the alternative to come and clean? I can't come clean, because if I come clean I lose my job. Sure, I mean, I rang up the post office credit unions, I got loans, credit unions, I was loaning up to my eyeballs. What was the alternative? Tell my wife, tell my employer I get sacked, or that's what I thought back then. Like, even in the on post thing, there was thing around alcohol and drugs. Because I was only talking to Paul Harding during the week. He listened to the podcast, so I'll say hello to him.
He loves it, yeah.
And I remember, like, we were laughing about, we were up at the concert there on Sunday, we were laughing about, like, I was called into the office when I was in Tala, because I remember I used to do DJ.
That's right, yeah. DJ Fat Balls.
DJ Fat Balls on the Thursday night. I used to be fucking locked going to Dublin. And I remember I used to miss Fridays, and I was calling, and a man said, this is a PDP on your file. I said, what's that? Possible drink problem. So it was flagged around alcohol because of my patterns and work. But at the end, I think how it got discovered in the end was that I started missing Thursdays, which were cash accounts days, because I knew that they wouldn't do cash account when I was there. So, like, again, in the on-post policy, there was drugs and alcohol, but back then it wasn't gambling. I'm sure that's different now in a lot of companies, because we've come along. So, like, I started stealing money, and you do rationalise it in that moment, because what's the alternative?
Are you thinking, now, Tony, that it doesn't matter, I'm eventually going to click a bet and it's all going to be fixed?
You're convinced.
You're convincing yourself of that.
Because you have the evidence.
Yeah, no matter what the day is, no matter how much you're taking out of money or whatever it is, you're like, I'll eventually click one and it'll all be fucked. No one will have a clue.
Yeah, until you don't.
Do you know?
And then you go into that chasing mode. Like, it's such a different psyche or mindset kicks in. There's no anyone that's listening who doesn't have an addiction to gambling will find it very difficult to understand that. It's very hard to explain it, because just something clicks in the brain.
But we keep going back to the word rationale. Like, that's obviously the big thing, because you're rationalising it. Because you're gone so far down the road, and I'm not a gambler, but you're gone so far down the road, you think, this is all I know.
Yeah,
you know,
it's the only way out.
Yeah, this is all I know here.
You go into caveman thinking, you go into the survival
100%.
mode.
Fight or flight, as it says.
Constant state of fight or flight.
The last thing you're going to do is come out and tell the truth, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the last option. Like.
But what's
the consequences?
Yeah, exactly.
I want to do something to get caught.
But if you weigh them up,
the truth was forced out.
You have consequence. You have shame, embarrassment, whatever, all them emotions. Or I have the golden ticket here, and I know I can do this.
Yeah.
But you don't think about the other implications of this in that moment.
Absolutely not, because that's the way out of this. Yeah. Because these things here on these side,
I don't want to hurt
completely outweigh this.
Yeah.
And the gambler's mindset would be as well that you can't gamble your way out of, you can't drink your way out of an alcohol problem, you can't drug your way out of a drug problem, but you believe you can gamble your way out of a gambling problem. There's a belief, it's called the gambler's fallacy. The next big bet is just around the corner. I was unlucky with the refereeing decision or the jockey falling at the last. It's that rationalisation. I was just unlucky. So you'll ration the gambler's fallacy is what's called. So I
can't keep being unlucky.
Yeah. If there's 9 reds in a row, it has to be black, even though it's 50-50. You know, like that kind of stuff.
Is there do you know what's weird? That just hit me there. See, when you're making excuses for losing bets, do you go through grief?
Oh, there's different stages. Like, Jesus, that's counting. Put me in the spot now. It's the stages of grief. I can always only remember 4. I mean, counselling, you're looking at bargaining, acceptance, denial, depression, and I can never think of the fucking 5th one.
Like, but without the
would you go to this stage of grief? Yeah, it would be.
Without the consequence of death or losing someone. Yeah. Like, it probably is a little bit of grief when you lose. Do you know, when you lose a bet, that you're like, you go through all them stages.
It's like there's the anticipation of the bet is the big part of it, and then the win or lose is part of it as well. But then when you lose, and you'll often hear people saying, like Usher McCombs says in his podcast, that he was nearly relieved when you lost the money, and you were relieved in that moment, because it means you can come out of that mindset and that clusterfuck of the head that you're in for a moment. But then the reality kicks in. It's like you come out of this gambling frenzy. Out of a fog, we'll say, like I was driving out in the fog there, and you come out of the fog and start to kind of, and then you kind of go, oh shit. There's all this stuff here, and then you have to go back in to try fix it. So it's hard to describe.
We're in a great talk over in Dunman 2 weeks ago.
I meant to promote it.
It was the night of the Oscar trainer game. I was raging because he texted me to go. Yeah. Richie Power was on it.
Was away.
I can't think of the other one. Who was the other one?
I think Osheen.
It could have been Osheen McConville, yeah.
David
Fitzgerald was the other one, yeah.
And Burnham was there, wasn't he?
Borhan,
he was promoting it, yeah. Free in.
Yeah, I know, and it's great that they're doing events like that, because that wasn't unheard of.
They should do more of them.
I think there's another one there in a few weeks' time, run by and the 21st of November is another one around gambling in there as well. So if anyone's interested in going in,
we'll definitely give it a toss at a time, or we'll give it a show. And so we keep diverse from the story. The story's fantastic. Why are we doing this, Papa? We're such amateurs.
No, I don't. I think it's the opposite. I think it's good to diverse the conversation, because people have heard my story hundreds of times. For me, it's nice to go into different avenues of it anyway. So.
I don't care what you want, Tony. I want to hear your story. I'm only joking. So you're really lumping on now, right? You're really, really lumping on. Is there at any point you were close to saying, one more and I'm out.
Yeah, I'll never forget it. It was at the early stages. I remember I'd done half-time, full-time the World Cup matches. 2000 and I got it going to my head now. I think
6.
I think it's 10. I think it was misquoted, but I think 2010. England was one of them. Argentina was one of them. And I remember I won 10 grand, and it would have cleared everything, and I was left with a grand. It must have been 2006 because I still know it was 2006. Sorry, because I remember I said, right, I'm going to go on a holiday now and play off the loans, and the Galway race was on the following week. And of course, I remember saying to Niall, we were in the cubby there beside front bar, between front and the back bar in Scraggs, and I remember saying, I'm having a really good day in racing or back gambling, and I didn't tell him why I won, obviously, because you don't. And I remember him saying to me, watch yourself with that, Riley, he says, because obviously he noticed maybe when we talk about it a bit more. And I remember I got in the following Monday into post. I was sitting beside at the top of the thing, sitting beside Paddy at the top. I remember I was running out to place all these bets, and I kept on losing and losing. I lost the 10 grand in the space of a couple of days in Galway, and then that starts the whole chasing thing again. That was the one time. There was another a team called Lorcan in the Belgian first or second division that let me down for a 14 team accumulator. I would have got 144 grand at the time, would have got me back as well. They were 1-0 up with a few minutes to go and lost, but then won it in extra time, of course. So there's a couple of bets like that, but that 10 grand one was a very pivotal one. I think I could have got out. But I think even if I got the money back,
you would have went on again.
I would have started the whole process again.
Was it always accumulators, Tony? Or what was your biggest bet on one team or one horse or a single bet?
Brunston, 30,000 at 10-3, which won. And the one that's always talked about was the 40,000 in the Norwegian women's football team to win one game. That was the one that was talked about in the court case. I can't really recall it, but that was one of the barristers said that. The Brunston was an interesting one because I was sitting upstairs at a small telly in the bedroom, and my wife was calling me down, and I was kind of, be there in a minute, and watching this. I forget who was on the horse. The horse won by about, furlong. I remember I didn't even flinch looking at the race because it was coming near the end of it. And I kind of, oh fuck, here we go again. So even winning life-changing money, you're in that space of, oh fuck. So the joy I got out of gambling a long time before that.
Yeah. How it was painful now, was it, Tony?
That was horrendous.
You are in, like, this is just my summary, right? You are in a constant battle with your mind. Like, I think people can underestimate that.
Yeah. And that brings you back to your first question about suicide. That suicide would be the way of stopping that constant battle. It's like I always say, there's someone with a sledgehammer trying to beat their way out, or else someone with their hands over your head constantly putting pressure on. Sometimes it's a lot harder, but you're constantly under pressure.
Like, that can't be, if you go to a doctor, that can't be diagnosed, right?
Anxiety, depression, stress, whatever the symptoms of it.
Yeah,
but it's not. That doesn't fix the pain in the head, Tony.
No,
like you said that.
Do you know the battle pop? Yeah, that's what I mean. You're like your Norafin is 40 grand on Norwegian women's football.
Yeah,
like, but is it though? It's like you think I suppose with Nurofen like a headache can come back, but this was like, it was only like a Nurofen that lasted for 5 seconds, because as soon as you come out, when it loses, you're back in that headache again.
It was an Anodin crap one. But that I can't, like, Tony, surely there's a book in that alone for yourself and your mind battle.
There is, but there's probably plenty of them out there anyway. And the only book I'm going to write again now will be a travel guide, because I'm at the hotels I stay on the road. I could write a great travel guide.
Could you?
Oh, stop.
The Michael Palin of Ireland, yeah.
10 travel tips. But anyway, sorry, we digress again. But anyway, yeah, that's so it is that constant pressure, and it's very hard to describe it, but it's that's the best way of describing it.
Like, not like, I don't know you personally. As I've read the book, I've heard podcasts, all that crack, right? And that's never clicked to me until I see your, you know, the way you're speaking to me. I'm saying, that man has had, like, you're talking about Holyfield, Tyson in your mind. I don't, like, that's mega.
Hear me say it is, but I think there's I think the survival kicked in. I think something kicks in. Is that wanting to try survive? I think there was a want for me to come out the far side of it, I think. And
it had to be, Tony. You wouldn't be sitting there.
I don't know if you're a dad, if you have children, that's your driving force. My daughter was my driving force to try and fix this. So, like, my solicitor John will always say, like, we were surprised we didn't find you dead, because that's, how could you go through that mindset? I don't know where I got the inner strength from to go through it. you know, you talk about higher powers and recovery as well. Like, I do know that my mum, before she passed away, like, she had a huge strength. Maybe I had some of that in me that I didn't know. And that was what got me through those, because it was dark moments.
The fight in her to survive, sort of, yeah.
The fight just to accept it and just do it, you know, just. So I think there was an inner strength there that probably I didn't realise that was there. Maybe I hadn't tapped into, because I was always the quite insecure child. So maybe that clicked off something in me. And in recovery, that's become very, very strong, because it's that thing of, you know, I've had a tough time in recovery too, and it's that thing of there's a drive there to come out the far side.
Do you know the recovery thing? See, when you went up north, right?
Yeah.
Would you say that's the first day of your recovery?
No. First day in recovery is about 6 weeks into treatment, I'd say.
Really?
I still thought I didn't have a problem 6 weeks. I thought I was just a bit unlucky.
Shut
It's
up.
absolutely mental. Like, it's just my mindset was still that ego there of like, I'll always remember there's a couple, maybe it is, technically wise, my last bet was a horse called Baday in the 150 in Beverley in Buckley's in Carrickfergus, 100 sterling, 11-4 joint favourite, which lost. That's technically my recovery starts then.
Yeah.
But my real recovery, like, there's a thing called a dry drunk, where you're absent from alcohol, but you're still showing the same symptoms of someone who is an alcohol addiction, like your humour and your persona. I suppose my recovery, I was 5-6 weeks in treatment. It's a bit of a Zen type of story. I would have got my mentor over there, Lee McLaughlin, brilliant counsellor. He kind of targeted me in one of the meetings, and he wouldn't let me go. Like, and I was trying to, you know, the ego, putting up those walls. I remember I went for a walk around the grounds of Batoy afterwards, and it was a lovely day. And I remember I just had that serenity, I suppose. And I remember I went to the next group meeting. I said, "Yeah, I've forgiven myself." And one of the lads looked at me, "Yeah, you forgive yourself for fucking stealing 1.75 million. That's big of you." Like, messing with great character.
Yeah.
But I remember just thinking, something clicked to me that day. I remember I went into the oratory. There's an oratory in Cumber, and I just broke down. And something clicked to me that day, and that was my first real day in recovery. But I would have had moments before that where I kind of went, you know what, this is good. But I suppose I was still dealing with the shit fest of everything until it settled down. They say it takes about 6 or 7, 8, 9 weeks for your head to settle down. And I suppose when I went into the environment of Cumberra, which is tough to go into, it would probably took me a few weeks to settle down, and that's where I really sees my recovery started.
The first day in Culvera, recovery starts, your man walks in. What's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Fuck.
Really?
I remember walking through, I know we're jumping ahead again, but I remember walking through to the side gate, and I worked in the drug detox unit for many months afterwards since, but you see all these 6 or 7 lads in pyjamas, you kind of go, what kind of fucking place is this?
Yeah.
I remember I walked through, I remember I was frantically going around trying to find Usher McConnell's book called The Gambler, thinking that I'll have all the answers. This book will have all my answers. I wanted the easy way out. And I always wrote, I journaled before that. I went in, and I saw on the door, there's a plaque on the door, Cumberra Chase, a place where you change yourself and nobody else. And then I realised I have to do this myself, so I had to do it the hard way. I had to surrender the outcome, and quoting Michael Brodie Wade here, surrender the outcome, practice rigorous authenticity, and do the uncomfortable work. And that's what I've done in Cumberra.
That's even the recovery side of Tony is fascinating, really, isn't it? Because like the fact, I have heard you say it before, 6 weeks before you realise that, oh, you actually have a problem.
Yeah.
Like, that's a month and a half, right? Like, that must have been torture, that month and a half. Like, in that month and a half, you had got a device to gamble. Would you have gambled?
No, I don't think so. I think I was. I think
you were done with it.
I think I was scared. Like, I think I often, again, to go back to that hotel room, I remember my experience, my first kind of experience at counselling, would say, was a police officer with a gun standing in the door jam, and me breaking down talking to him, lying on a hotel bed. So I remember that was kind of, the relief was huge there. And I think because, I suppose because it was so big, you're dealing with it, and then I think there was opportunities in prison afterwards, all right, where I could have, because it was all over with. Prison is rife with gambling. But I think back then, I think I was kind of scared straight, if that makes sense, for that length of time. And also the big carrot and stick was the court case was coming, so I didn't want to think that I was back gambling, because that would impact, it'd be an aggravating circumstance for the prison sentence. So it was that kind of,
you want to, like, listen here.
Yeah, so if I'm in recovery, it might mitigate the sentence, which I think it did in the end a little bit as well.
Answer me this: where is fear sitting
In around which?
Before you're caught, when you're pinching the few bob.
Fear. You don't think of it. There's moments, I think, like to go back to the story then again, like by the time I got my first cash out, I'd stolen €8,000. So it snowballed very quickly from coin into notes. So like how I used to hide it was the bundles of cash would come in €50,000 bundles, so 10 bundles of 5,000 wrapped and sealed in this plastic. And I used to get a blade and slice down the corner of the bale of notes, take out 2,000 or 3,000 from a bale, seal it back up and put a little black mark, put it into the back of the safe. So I think what happened then was by the time I got my first cash out, he counted the loose cash, went to the safe. I'm shitting myself. You talk about fear, I'm shitting myself looking at him.
Yeah.
Counts the 10 bundles. Marks it off, says, that's brilliant, Tony. The main ought to be here in a few weeks. The fear kicks in then. So then I ring and ask for help. I ring my mum and ask for help. But I don't ask for help to make animal problem. I ask her to get a loan out for me.
Wow.
So I bully her into getting out a loan, unknowns to my dad or my wife, and bully her, and she gets me a loan. I get the cheque a few weeks later, €8,000 cheque. Sitting in the office thinking, right, I'll get this into the safe now. It'll clear before the audit comes in a couple of weeks' time. But then I look up the cameras and see 5 audit fellas walking in that Thursday morning, and then fear kicks in again. But you go into that flight of fight, you have to act normal in front of the audit. So they come in and it's like Russian roulette. Like they go to the safe 5 times that day, take out a bundle of cash. They could take out any bundles, break it open, give it out to the counter. And just to put that into context, if there's 3 bundles missing €2,000 or €3,000 each, you might get one of those bundles missing €150 note every 6 months from the bank. And here there was 3 of them missing. And every time they took a thing out, I'm caught. And I remember what happened then was they left the office, and the 3 of the bundles were missing cash for 3 to 5 left in the back of the safe. Then there's that wave of relief and that wave of ego.
I'm bulletproof. How
here.
did I skip this?
Yeah, I'm bulletproof here. And then I get the check and I go to the safe and I'm putting the check back in the safe, and then I stop and say, oh no, they're after saying they're not going to be back for another couple of months. So maybe I can double this up and put it back in then. So then you go back to the Paddy Power, put in, and your plan is to double up the 8,000 you've got as a loan.
You thought you were gone and you dodged a big bullet. You're like, it's a relief, I'm going to multiply it here.
Yeah, next thing is you put
and I'm going to pay back the loan and go on a holiday or something as well.
You lose the 8,000
yeah.
at 8 or 9 weeks there, or then you blink again and it's 2 weeks before your daughter, or weeks before your daughter's born, you're fucking €68,000 in debt. You're 68,000 not in debt that you've stolen. You have to lock an empty safe when you go on paternity leave to try hide the theft, hoping that you won't get a phone call for the birthday of your daughter. Like that just, it's horrendous to think that you can't. One of the biggest moments of your life, your wedding, birthday of your daughter, is tarnished by this gambling because you're in there and there's tears rolling down your face and your daughter's born. It wasn't tears of happiness it should have been, it was tears of anger, shite and disgust of who you are and what you become.
If you could stood yourself in front of you, whatever boxed the head off.
I never looked at myself in the mirror, I couldn't.
Yeah.
Do you think it took that long to get that disgust emotion? Or did you always have it?
It's always there because you're going against all your values. Deep down you know what you're doing is wrong, but you can't stop. And again, addiction would be kind of a loose I suppose definition of it would be doing it despite the negative consequence, not being able to stop despite the negative consequence. I couldn't stop because the consequence were far away. I think I always say fear, ego and pride stopped me looking for help. 100%, that's the 3 things. So then you get back after 3 weeks paternity leave, and the only way you can gamble out, you come back, you're energised, and you say, right, just gamble, get it back. You start stealing more money. Time you get your third order, you're 293,000 you've stolen. Your change of figures on a balance sheet, an AR. They arrive on 15th of December, the year and the bad snow, and they arrive in the office, and I look up the cameras and I see them, and I run to the bathroom. I physically get sick. I text my wife and say, I'm sorry for everything, XXX. I'm caught that day. I'm convinced third of an office balance is stolen. The money in the safe is fine now. The theft is hidden in these check figures, and I'm expecting them to ask me why are these 10 times the normal amount. Operations manager says, what's the story of these checks, Tony? You have your library like that. Savings and investments, people moving their money from the bank crisis. I have an investments clinic set up. Geez, Tony, that's brilliant. Why aren't other people doing it? He rolled his chair back 2 feet and checked the book. I was caught, but they were in a rush out that there because of the bad weather. Then I'm waiting on that phone call from the area office, waiting a phone call for the next 6 months. The area manager rings me 20th or 21st of December, sitting home having dinner with my wife. I see the number, the blood drains my face. He says to me, my wife says, why aren't you answering the phone? I said, it's my area manager. She answered, and I knew what was coming, or I thought I knew what was coming. Answered the phone. He said, Tony, we want to advise you, we don't want you to travel to work tomorrow. I go, why is that, Mick? And he says, I don't know if you've noticed, there's bad snow coming in overnight. The bad snow in 2010, remember?
Yeah.
And he said, take a few extra days off, we'll see you in the new year. And I'm there, I have to get into work, because if someone else opens that safe, I'm caught. Get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, clear the car down, nearly crashed the car 4 times driving the car. The car's going everywhere on the road. Took me 4 hours 45 minutes to a 45-minute drive. That's how slow I had to go. Got in just in time. People looking at me going, why the fuck are you here? I get snowed into Gorey for 3 or 4 nights, only barely making home for my daughter's first Christmas. Horrendous Christmas, because there's a picture of my dad's house and a picture of the family and I look miserable in the picture. I look bloated, numb, I look absolutely everything. And then I get back in January and I think, right, I need to fix this. So that's when it takes off into a world of its own. So I believe I lost my mind in that 6 month period, because in that 6 months I steal it for €1.45 million in the space of 6 months. Like in the latter stages,
wow,
I'm stealing €75,000 a week, €15,000 a day into my backpack, gambling that Paddy Power in Gorey and the Paddy Power in Carlow. Not driving around hundreds of ones, putting in hundreds there, 2 lots of cash. I'm manipulating the counter staff so that they don't ask me about where the money's come from. The woman in Gorey even knits my daughter a cardigan for her christening, because we've that kind of relationship. I'm a notorious big tipper, leave a big tip so don't. So I'm stealing €15,000 a day, gambling while I'm driving home, gambling while I'm supposed to be sleeping, staying in the spare room, gambling 20 hours a day trying to win this money back. And that's when fear, and I think you're in autopilot and fear doesn't kick in.
What's the definition of losing your mind for you?
Doing the same, what's the thing? Definition of insanity? Doing the same thing all over again, over without.
Do you think that's it? That's true to
I was going. I don't know what I was doing. It was I was numb to any kind of reality in that 6 months.
Is that because you realise that there's no way out here?
I don't know. I think it's like even like a coma when the brain just protects itself. I think I was in that protective mode. I didn't know what I was doing.
Just shock. It's
looking back now. Like I've this. There's one weekend in particular I do talk about a lot, and I'll share it with you as well. But that weekend I look back at some of the bets and I'd be shaking my head looking at some of the stuff I was doing. 20 grand and Torres has scored 7-1 against City. Stuff like that. Like, silly. Like that weekend. There was a weekend in April 2011. This weekend in the Masters 2011. And I go on a bit of a winning streak. And again, for anyone listening, I'm very mindful even sharing this because it does sensationalise gambling. But I never enjoyed any of these bets. But I was desperate trying to get it back. So this
enjoyment's gone.
No, so I'm gambling €5,000 on a soccer match on an in-play soccer match. Win 14.5 grand or something by the time I get home. Put 10 grand on Irish soccer. Win 60-something thousand that night. Place a bet for the morning. Lose the rest of it overnight in American sports. Win on Australian soccer that morning. Go into the afternoon, start winning more bets. Then I get brave. I put €45,500 on Tiger Woods to win one match play against KD Choi. Is that your name, KD Choi?
Yeah.
KJ Choi, sorry. A different in-play betting, so I keep on going back at him. He loses. That night I win on Spanish soccer, English soccer. Then there's a tennis player called Vera Wangachea, if I'm pronouncing her name right. She was 216th in the world. Her career earnings up to that point was about 48.
Sounds like a giraffe in a zoo or something, doesn't it?
Her career earnings up to that point, her career earnings up to that point was €48,000. I placed bets totaling €39,800 on her to win one tennis match. In a tournament across the world where the prize money for the tennis tournament wasn't even a fraction price I was gambling her. €5,000 bets on the score of games within a set. That loses. Then I go on another bit of a run. I put €20,000 on Carl Swartz to win the Masters. Birdies the last 3 holes and I win €80,000.
Charles Swartz, yeah.
And then I start gambling the
birdies, yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
€20,000 bets. Do 125 bets that weekend, win 46 of them and win €462,000. Life-changing money.
Oh my God.
The problem was I'd stolen €900,000. So I wake up that morning, I'm on a high, thinking, get double the money up, Tony, get it back.
That's all 460,000, still 450 in there.
And then saying all I do is just double up the money. Get in. I used to gamble while I was driving. I said the only way to describe it is that someone with an alcohol problem talk about having to drink first thing, stop and having shakes. I need to have a bet first thing. The mornings I couldn't gamble, this sounds mad. I used to jam a portable DVD player on the dashboard and watch episodes of Prison Break while I was driving to stop my head from feeling it was going to flip. Online Paddy Power system down, get into work, imagine a scene, laptop, cup of coffee, €462,000 top left in the corner of the screen. Didn't feel like real money as we said earlier on. Safe over there missing nearly €1 million and saying just double it up, Tony, double it up to get it back. Even if I had double up, I would have got caught moving the cash, or I would have started the whole process. In that moment I look up at the cameras, see 3 other fellas walking in. My heart sinks. This is definitely 3 lads from Dublin. So they walk in and said, Tony, we're here to check security. And I said, okay, I'm shaking, hand the keys to the safe. And they said, no, we don't need that, we're just here to check the viability, put in a Dropbox safe. I said, what's a Dropbox safe?
Oh my God.
I said, you know what, he puts secure core, like puts the money outside the building, drops in safe, less chance of tiger heating up and less chance of someone stealing from post. I was just thinking, if only you knew the person stealing was one standing in front of you. The most surreal part of my story happens then. I'm sitting there at the desk and it's no word of a lie. I get a phone call from 087 number and I answer it. I said, hi, who's this? And he said, oh, sorry for disturbing. Is this Tony? And I said, yeah. I said, who's this? He said, Paddy. I said, Paddy who? Paddy Power. I said, Paddy Power. The head man of Paddy Power, who you know from Safer Gambling ads in Cheltenham, and the marketing genius rang me that morning and says, you may have noticed he was VIP manager, I think, at the time. You may have noticed our systems around town. This is my private number if you need to ring me to place a bet. So the head man of Paddy Power is ringing me to place a bet. Now, I've heard since that they had they Google map my house, they see where I live, they had someone monitor my account 24 hours a day. I was Paddy Power's biggest online customer. But here I was getting full VIP treatment. Got him off the phone, obviously. The audit team were still in the room. They left at 10:05 that morning, went online, could get me first bet on, €5,000 on some soccer bet. At 9:57 that night, less than 12 hours later, I'd done 31 bets and lost 30 to 31 bets, and I'd lost nearly €500,000 online. And then I started the whole process again.
See that call from Paddy Power? Like, is there not a thing there where I don't want to be your best customer, Paddy?
No, but see, if you're a VIP customer, they'll celebrate. But to be a VIP, you're the biggest loser.
Yeah.
If you win money, they'll restrict your account or they'll close your account because they don't want you to.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I won a few. I was actually not funny now. I suppose in Gorey. There was this bookies right opposite the post office. I used to go over there, and I won a couple of bets in a row, a couple of €100 bets, and it was barred out because I won too much money. You said, "Don't want you to come back in," and then all the lads that used to gamble were boycotted it because I'd won because they'd heard it because one of the lads in the post office at the time. The lad I got on very well with it. I think he works with Paddy Power now. Actually, does the radio.
Oh yeah,
he does the radio now. And I remember he said, I told him, I'm not being stopped. I've never barred over anywhere in my life. So the boycotted it. So you want closed down a few months later. So I actually closed down the bookies in.
Jeez.
I could have closed down the bookies in Castle Dermot as well if I clicked. John Turner missed the penalty. I would have cleared him, and I would have closed
the Champions League.
Yeah, I would have closed them. I'd done this mad betting by home, €50 bet, fucking mad jokes. And I had Chelsea to win the Champions League was the last bit. And if that John Terry had scored that goal, I would have closed the bookies in. That's the level I got to. And here I was, just a post office manager, just desperately trying to get my life back. I
don't know how a betting company can have a VIP list.
It's going to be looked at in a new legislation regulation. But you brought it to round the world trips. Like I was brought to Dubai races, or not Dubai. The
one in the Curragh.
The one in the Curragh.
Big difference.
Surely is. I got a Paddy Power underpants. But I think that's the VIPs. They're going to be looked at. But I've heard lads are getting Premier League boxes. Bring over 20 of their friends, paid for. I remember I brought Niall up to the Derby and he was drinking Bollinger champagne with JP McManus, getting selfies.
Brilliant.
And I was there trying to dodge Paddy Power in the box because I knew and he knew.
Yeah.
And no one wanted to stand it. So
do you know that you're saying legislation's changing? I read a little bit on that, but I don't think it's going to affect their marketing though.
No, I think they'll always find ways around it, but I do think there will be a watershed between 5:30 in the morning and 9 o'clock at night or something. It won't, because they'll find ways around it. Even in the UK now, I think their gambling sponsorship and shirts stop in 2026. Yeah. But they'll start putting on the back, they'll start putting on the shorts. They'll find ways around
shin pads.
Yeah, exactly. And you'll see it being
Paddy Power Hour. I can imagine they're 10 o'clock or something like that. You know?
As I said, Paddy Power are marketing geniuses.
Unbelievable, so it is. It's different level. We could get a few tips to mark this podcast pop up. When do you escape? When do you go north?
It would have been the weekend of the 2nd July 2011. It would have it all came to a head. There was a surprise audit. I arrived into Gorey, Paddy Power in my brain. Arrived in the Gorey post office and I'm late. And I see all the Port Rich cars. I spin my car around. I speed out Gorey. I send a text saying I'm involved in an accident or something, just to kind of throw the heat off. It's like a casino, love-hate. There's phones being flown out the window, there's SIM cards going through the window, there's tracking devices being thrown into it. I'm driving so fast, I hit a humpback bridge and the car nearly flips over Lone Line Bridge into the river. End up getting as fast and as far away as I can. I stop off to change sterling. I buy a baseball cap. I'll always remember Mercurial Nike one. Go into to change sterling. The man's going in changing sterling. I get paranoid. I nearly want to walk out of the bank because I think that the guard of helicopters are following me. I arrive into Belfast. The first place I went was Labrooks because that was my safe place, and I lose 500 to 600 sterling. Then I kind of go, shite, I have to book in somewhere tonight. And then I had 100 sterling left. I said, right, I'll put on a horse. If it wins, I'll stay in a hotel. If not, I'll sleep in my car in the streets of Belfast. Because I had there was another bet going online. I was waiting on a couple of Wimbledon matches before the roof came in. There was a lot of rain delay that year, and I was waiting on either a docket bet or an online bet, and I ended up winning the money. I went to on the docket. I went into Premier Inn in Belfast. I'm looking for ID, so I said fuck that, I'm not giving ID. So I drove out to Carrickfergus. That's why I ended up in Carrickfergus. Booked in under Niall's name in Dobbins Inn Hotel, and that's where I stayed for the next 2 or 3 nights. Still gambling, still trying to win the money back, even though I knew now that the theft had been discovered.
Did you ever watch Goodfellas?
I did, but I can't remember.
You remember the end scene with Ray Liotta, Henry Hill?
Yeah. The helicopters followed me.
That was paranoia, right?
Yeah. Oh, you're in the constant state of paranoia. Like it's
that's crazy.
I grew a beard and I was, but then like it's nearly like you went into an alter ego up there. Like it was nearly like it was nearly the calm before the storm. I knew it was coming, but it was nearly like I looked like a tourist up there. I go in, I get 2 tattoos. Don't get my daughter's name tattooed on my arm. I covered up another one here, and I'm in. And like, kind of.
Are you able to hold conversation with people at this stage?
Yeah, I'm at a bar. I can't remember the conversation that much, but the night so just to get to that point, the night I lose all my money online on a Friday night, but I win €10,500 on this docket. So I'm so desperate to get my fix of gambling. I drive from Carrickfergus into Belfast, into a random Paddy Power office and hand the docket and say, can you cash that into my account, Tony 10, knowing that they would have to ring Paddy Power and Gorey. So I'm so desperate to fix, I don't care. So he scans, he says, you do realise you're going to lose €1,500 in change, or don't care, I put it on my account. That's how I lost the value of money. Desperately wanted to gamble. So then he gave me a strange look, and he's going in out the back making phone calls. Now I've heard since through Aaron Rogan's book called Punters around Paddy Power, brilliant book if you ever get a chance to read it. I remember they had pictures of me behind the counter and they were told to contact that office if I arrived in. So I remember I went in and he was going in front and I got spooked. So I said to him, listen, I'm going to check my car, it's double parked. So I went down to the end of the street, standing there and the police car comes driving down. I said, fuck me, I have to ring the police. So I'm looking around the corner, still don't want to leave my docket there. I'm running around the corner, I'm looking around the corner, I see him, I see the police getting out, talking to people who are drinking outdoor coffee, or it could have been an outdoor pub, and they're taking notes. Then they get back in the car and they drive away. I'm thinking, right, I haven't gone into the Paddy Power office, maybe they're not there for me. So part of me is telling me to get out of there, the other part saying, go back and get that docket, your last way out of this, even though I knew I'd caught. So I ran back to the Paddy Power, straight into the counter, said to your man, can I get my docket back? I'm staying in Carrickfergus, I'll cash in a few days' time. I do not know why I told him I was staying in Carrickfergus. That's the reason why I'm sitting here talking to you today.
That's crazy.
And so he gave me the docket, I went out, went back to the hotel bar and started drinking with this fellow with a Rangers tattoo on the side of his head. At the counter, and it was telling me where to avoid for it was marching season in the north. Telling me where to avoid, and he was telling me stories about Alex Higgins and everything. I can't remember the life of him. I wish I could now, but we had a great conversation too. I was drinking. He was an alcohol addiction, but he wasn't in recovery that night. We were drinking Carlsberg together, Heineken, and that's full scale conversation. But it was just all like I was just at that stage. I was kind of like, this is it. I know it's coming. So that morning. Or that afternoon, I went to bed at 6 o'clock in the morning and I woke up at 1. That's when I placed my last bet. Meanwhile in Carlow that night, just a big family meeting in my house. They haven't seen me in days. Niall's gone around all the beaches in Wexford and Waterford looking for me. My friend Martin, his dad is an ex-detective in Wexford, tells him about the surprise audit. Niall meets someone who gives him a rundown of my Paddy Power account, tells my wife she collapsed in the front lawn because of shock. My father's in the guard station looking for information. They're not giving him any information out, but as he's getting into the car, he gets called in by, could have been a sergeant or guard that he knew, so then he talked in the back office, Tony, that's his name, is Tony as well. And she says to him, there's a picture of your son was spotted coming over premises half an hour ago in Belfast. And he looked at it, and you could see me, the Paddy Power logo, and you see cobblestones outside. So she said, whereabouts in Belfast? I don't know, it's only coming in, but it's in Belfast. Goes home, this is where the Google Maps, powers up Google Maps, zooms in on all the Paddy Powers in Belfast, 13 Paddy Powers, gets the one with the cobblestones, the only one in Belfast, gets the address. Their plans come up the following day to try to find me. Following day, 15 people, wife, all my family, John Sullivan as well, came up in a few cars, arrived into Belfast to the Paddy Powers. Luckily the same fellow was on from the night before. They came in, we know this man, show him a picture, we know this man was here last night, has been here today. I can't get any information because of GDPR. So it ends up that I'm 20 kilometres away in Carrickfergus. I get up at 1 o'clock in the day, hungover, go down to the bookies, that's what I've done every day. That's when I placed the last bet. As I'm placing the bet, I open the newspaper and see some of the headlines. I see the picture go, and it all hits me. I go numb. All I can remember is one line: family and friends are looking from the Wicklow Mountains. So I say I may make contact. It's another rare moment of clarity. Go back to the hotel room, start emailing people.
Jesus Christ, man.
Emails coming back and forth, and the emails were getting like, where are you? We're worried about you. And I was saying, you're all better off without me. So I started kicked in. That's when the suicidal ideation kicked in. Then it just hit me like a ton of bricks, and I said, I won't tell the exact words I use because I don't need it breaking down. But I just said, tell my daughter I'll always love her. Threw the laptop in the corner, and that was it.
Last bet done?
No, last email I thought was going to take me all life. Like even now.
Wow.
It's mad. When I talk to adults about it, it always gets me. When I talk to students in schools, it never gets me. But that was my last email. Like, I won't tell exactly the words I used because I used her, what I used to call her.
Yeah.
And that was it. And then apparently my wife broke down the Paddy Power office. I think Niall had threatened to pull your man over the counter as well.
Not better vocal.
5'2" of Niall, and or 6. He'll argue. And so that's when he gave me information. We think he's in Carrick. He said he was staying in Carrickfergus, which is the information I gave him. They flew into Carrickfergus. My cars used to be parked outside Dobbins, but the street is pedestrianised during the day. They arrive in, my car's down by the seafront. They fear the worst. They're going around the hotel. Of course, frantic trying to find me. And at 5:30 that evening, I get a phone call from reception saying, "Do you want your room cleaned, Mr. Byrne?" And I said, "No, you're fine, thanks." And then that's when I get to knocking the door on the PSNI officers. And then it's
like someone opened the valve.
And then what happens is then it eventually got me out of the room. I was very distressed because you're moments away from taking your own life. And then I end up stopping off in Applegreen on the way down to Carlow, pictures in front of all the national news, but about way up in the town. Get back to Carlow when I see my mum for the first time, the look of disgust and disappointment she gave me, I'll never forget for as long as I live. And that's when it really hit me how much my gambling impacted. And that was probably the toughest bit of it. And then I go into Coomvera, missed my daughter's first birthday, got to see her for a couple of minutes that day, and that's when the recovery kind of starts then.
Do you understand forgiveness?
Yes, but I also understand shame, and sometimes I forgive myself sometimes, but it's I think a lot of people and a lot of loved ones around me I still haven't forgiven me for what I've done. I've friends.
Where does that sit with you?
I'm okay. I can understand. Like I think I'm fairly thick-necked when it comes to things. I understand that my gambling not only impacted me, it impacted Sonny. It impacted on Post. It had huge implications, and there's regret there for all of that. Like I didn't set out to hurt anyone, but I do know that people were hurt, and I do understand that people will maybe never be able to forgive me because of the impact on them. And that's fine. I'm okay with that. The most important person to forgive is me to forgive myself, and I find it difficult at times because there's still a huge amount of shame still there, because you're worried about how it might impact my daughter going forward, how it might impact different things.
Do you crave forgiveness?
No. I'm comfortable in it. I'm comfortable in a lot of my own skin, a lot of stuff. Like I don't
accepted
crave
it now.
Maybe at the start, maybe I did crave it a little bit more than now. I've a lot of acceptance around it, and I have been, as I keep saying, I've been able to separate who I believe I am as a person. At times I'm quite good at it, but at times then it comes back at you, waves, and you do get brought back to the shame that's there because I did steal money. I am a convicted felon, or that's American convicted criminal. Yeah. I've served time. It impacted people. Like I have to, but I don't let it determine or dictate who I believe I am as a person.
No, but that's because you're on the road to righteousness, right? Or recovery.
But it does come in waves sometimes. Yeah.
How long? Do you know the way to say an alcoholic? My mum did a bit of work years ago on recovery, and I remember she used to always say to me, "If once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic."
Yeah.
Like, so how long is that road to recovery? Like, are you going to be always in recovery?
It's not a road to recovery. You're on the road.
That's what I'm saying. You'll
never be off the road.
I'm in recovery, and it's something to start where it's recovery takes up everything in your life. It's like nearly it's everything. Like, and you get some respites from compulsions or addiction or the whole thing. But then it kind of flip flops where your life is normal. And you get the odd compulsion, so it nearly flip flops. So it's nearly like having if you have to take a pen for diabetes. At the start, it's all you're very conscious of, and you have to, you might be at the end you just bang. And so it does become a part of your life. It's very much a part of my life now. My recovery is around making sure I do something each day, or making sure I don't gamble in that day. It is that old adage, like one day at a time, but also recognising when you're slipping back into old ways. And I'm very good at that because of the work I do and because of the personal development work I do.
You have to have the mind's eye to recognise that.
Yeah, it's internal and external triggers. It's like recognising, hold on now, just a bit different here now. So you do, and that's the recovery 101, recognising your risk situations. Like even now, like all of the lads know about me gambling. If I'm in a pub and there's a race, and lads be like, Niall's the best one. Like, I know I shouldn't be talking about this, Riley, but he'd be talking about odds. But if I feel affected, I just say to Papa, listen, do you mind if I just sit there because I put me back to the race? And, it's because I think the hardest thing was when it came out in the open, because I had to deal with it fairly publicly. But that's also my biggest asset in recovery because everyone knows about it. So like, it's like that thing of there's not that shame around talking, because I talk very publicly about it, but it's the internal shame. But it's very much at the start I would have been maybe down the pub and you'd see people looking at you. Even when I went back working the Scrags, like you see people looking at you and point. But there was one where I have to mention Martin Fagan in this. Like Martin, I don't know whether he listens, but Martin, like I remember he was giving me some DVDs, or I won't say he was downloading films for me. He wasn't. He was just giving me some DVDs. And I remember I went into the house and I remember he handed me the DVDs, and he said to me, "Shall I see you around sometime?" And I thought, because I'd isolated a lot, and I remember just kind of going, do you know what? I don't want my life to be like this, so I want to re-engage. Then I started re-engaging. I remember the night we were down in Scraggs for Ireland playing the playoffs. There was loads of snug, and Brian Blake wouldn't stop Tom Buchanan to me. And I said to PJ Duff, I said, PJ, get him away from me. Because he kept on, because he just obviously felt a bit uncomfortable, didn't know what to talk about. And he talks about Buchanan a lot now, he'll admit that himself. But I remember, like, even that, I'm comfortable enough to say, listen, I don't want to talk about that. On the flip side, just before, I remember the car game in Scraggs on a Friday night. I started coming back down on a Friday night. I remember Niall, brilliant, he said to me, listen lads, don't play the cards and Riley's here. And I said, Niall, if you're going to start doing that, I'm going to stop coming down. But then as the night went on, I started getting a little bit more brave. I was edging towards Martin's shoulder. I was playing the hand over his shoulder. Next thing I said to Martin, so when you go out, I'll play your hand. Riley, if you touch them cards, I'll break your two arms. So at least, because people know it's good for my recovery, and it reminds me that I'm only 1 minute away from bed if I'm not on the ball.
How important is it, Tony, to be normal during recovery? So, I mean, in social circumstances. So how important is it to be able to walk into your local, to walk down, you know, like how important is that?
It's a huge part. Like, you need your recovery journey. Like, that's part of your recovery. Part of it is able to have normalised conversation with football, women, music,
but that might
and that's what I get in Carlow with my friends. Like, I come down to Carlow at the start. Like, there might have been a bit of, you know, you might have someone who mightn't have heard, and they might come in like, and kind of. I remember watching the cup final Liverpool Greece, and like kind of sat beside me starting. Oh my God! I said, listen, I'm on a day off, and you know.
Gotcha.
But when you go down to Carlow, it's like when I left and come back to Carlow. Like, we met a few weeks ago. It's like we wouldn't see each other at all because I lived down in Waterford, but. It's like you just come back, it's just like the old friendships, the old crack, the old stories. And that's so important for me because Johan Harry will say the opposite of addiction is connection. And it's about connecting with people, also connecting with yourself around your recovery, but also connecting with people. And like I was saying with my Paul there a few nights ago, we reconnected, went up to a concert. It was great to meet up with him. And no alcohol involved, we were just, you know, just out for a concert. It was just lovely, and that's the most so important, to have that normalised life that's not all recovery based, because balance is the most important thing.
That's what I'm saying.
You have to have elements of recovery, but you have to have balance in your life as well.
Do you think, like, again, I'm no expert, I'm, you know, far from, but like, I mean, do you think that even in the normality in road recovery, that to have a conversation with someone is a massive step?
100%.
Like, that must be extreme. I'm not an advocate for what you've done or whatever, right? But that must be a big thing to be able to go, harbour shame, harbour regret, harbour guilt. I can't plead innocence because it happened, and I'm going to try and hold a normal conversation.
Take responsibility. Like,
that's massive, isn't it?
The first part of the recovery programme in Gambling Anonymous is accepting you have a problem, but also accepting responsibility for it. Like, I can take full responsibility for it. I deserve to go to prison for what I've done. I'm not here to say that I shouldn't. I probably deserve longer, but there's a lot of mitigating circumstances against it. I hadn't benefited financially from the money. I'm still paying back gambling rate loans. I'm still driving a piece of crap of a car. I'm still, you know, like, and it did come to light that Paddy Power paid the money back to one post in around the time of the court case, but got them to sign a non-disclosure agreement. So that's why the sentence was mitigated.
The other side of the market, Tony.
But I can take full responsibility for it, and that's the most important part. Once you accept you have a problem and take responsibility and try to be a better person, because I still make mistakes. But 99% I'm always striving to be the best version of me as I can be.
I am absolutely shattered listening to you.
Some story.
My mind is bended, and I've read the book.
Yeah, no,
but this is like the real life version, right? How many times have you told that story?
Hundreds. You can separate yourself from emotion from it most times, but I'm still telling it until the day that I don't have to tell it anymore.
But there's emotion behind it, right? Yeah. I can see in your face now there's emotion behind it.
That's tiredness as well if you're on the road all day.
The fog is in his eyes.
Yeah. Who plays you in the film?
There won't be a film.
None? No.
I'm quite happy that, you know, it hurt a lot of people putting the book out.
Okay.
I would say it'd either be Pat Short if there was a film. It wouldn't be a young Pat Short or a Colin Farrell. No, I'm happy enough with the film or with the book being out.
Yeah.
It has created a lot of, you know, it brings it up for some people, but yeah, so that's where I'm at. Like, I've spoke very publicly about it. Hopefully I won't have to do that too much longer, and just because I've worked hard to start. It's all about starting conversations, and the biggest compliment I get is from school kids who text me after the talks, or from parents who text me saying, like one said last week, like, my son is not a man of many words, but when he got in the car, he was blown away by your story, made a full conversation around gambling addiction, and then that went to the kitchen table that night. That's all I'm trying to do, is start conversations.
Open avenues. What do you say to someone who's contemplating, after winning a couple of bob, maybe you're 16, 17, you've got a couple of both teams to score bets up, you've 50 quid in the back pocket. What are you saying to them?
Like gambling, a lot of people will enjoy it. It's become so normalised though. I suppose if you're looking at, if your gambling changes, if you notice a change in how you bet, if you notice it's taking up a bit more of your time, you're hiding a little bit more, you're
the amount you're betting as well.
So remember the night United were playing Barcelona in Champions League final, we're all out in the snug and scrags, and I had Messi United score in 90 minutes. Of course Rooney scored first time, they're celebrating. Now you're looking, why are you celebrating? Next Messi scored, now you're celebrating. So you have to win the bet here. I told him I won €500 and started buying drink, but I'd won €10,000. I put €1,000 bet on it, or €8,000, whatever it was, and I didn't want anyone knowing how much money. If you're an old man said to me in Scraggs one day, and this is for anyone that's gambling out there, if you do decide to place a bet and you put money on an event and you don't enjoy watching the event, you have too much money on it.
Yeah.
Where are you now with watching sport?
Took me 2 years to be able to watch it again and enjoy it. I remember watching the 2012 Carling Cup final. I think I was watching with yourself and Scraggs, and they won in penalties, and I didn't even flinch looking at it. Now
That was
Cardiff, wasn't it?
Cardiff, yeah.
And I remember now,
Paul Gerrard was playing.
I remember when they nearly won the league, the Gerrard slip and Suarez and all that. I remember I was watching in prison, and I remember I really enjoyed it for what it was. I got the love back. And I've been very lucky in the fact that Liverpool have started playing well in that, so I'm enjoying what it is. I have a very different relationship with sport. I won't watch all sport. I watch Liverpool if they're playing. I won't watch Scunthorpe and Yeovil on a Tuesday night. I'll watch rugby if Ireland are playing. I'll watch the golf if someone like Tiger Woods or McIntyre, Shane Lowry, the majors. I won't watch all of it. I won't watch tennis. Was in my backyard, even though I used to gamble heavily on it. And I watch Waterford if I'm down in Waterford as well. I watch it for what it is. I watch it for the enjoyment of it, and I can take and leave. I remember the year Liverpool lost the Carriers Cup final against Real Madrid, and my birthday's in around time and I remember they lost, and I was a bit disappointed. But then my daughter comes in with my birthday cake, and it's a part of my life, sport, but it's not everything. And that's what it is. Like, it's a balanced part of my life, and I love watching sport for what it is. Good. The enjoyment, the up and down of it, and that's what it is.
You're watching football differently though, because you're observing the game now.
Yeah. Like, you know, imagine you've Salah score, you're a Liverpool fan, and then Diaz scores. You're devastated. And that can be said with that fancy football thing where you're trying certain things.
I can't do that fancy football, man.
But it's very different.
For 2 weeks now, like, go away with that.
I'm watching it for the love of it now, which is lovely way to be back.
It's brilliant, like you're watching the system, style, shapes.
Yeah, I don't go that much into it now.
Do you know, but I'm saying you're observing, you're picking up, you're looking at it instead of watching it for. Can we get to the result here, lads?
Yeah.
I have a million on this.
But I'm also listening to music in different ways. I'm reading books in different ways. My life is different. My new partner, we have a lovely life down in Waterford. She's the best in the world. My life is different. I'm very calm. And I remember I was quoted one time, it was one of these quotes, I said, like, I've never been in a better place in my life. It's just a pity I had to go to hell and back to get there. And that's...
Wow. Whose quote is that?
Mine.
Is that yours?
Yeah, I probably pulled it out somewhere. Or I put the quote in the Independent Time, Tony 10, a story of a €10 million bet and a personal regret. Or a place from, I forget what it was, I'll get it for you again. But like, just to clarify, the 10 million you said earlier on, the turnover of my account was 10.5 million. I never lost 10. I would have won and lost that. I won €9 million, but I never won it in one go. If I did, I wouldn't be here. I'd be in Barbados. The most I ever won in a calendar year on my online account was €46. That's how much I was ever up over a calendar year.
That's some stats.
That's the worst. That is nuts, isn't it?
I wasn't that good at it.
That's gambling 101, isn't it? Yeah. Like, that should be, you know, you buy a cigarette packet, right? And your man is there with the sore throat and all on it. Say when you get a docket or an online docket, there should be a disclaimer under it.
Or maybe there will be at some stage.
Could be.
Do you know what I mean? Anonymous.
There's a good chance anyway.
Blah, blah, blah. Gambler, this is what you won over a year and spent this.
Yeah.
Do you know?
That was mine. And that's why there are some safer gambling things, but you can see that rundown of your account. Like, I have a document at home about 1,106 pages. That's how I know all the bets so much. I got that document off Paddy Power for the Cork. Yeah. That's why I know it.
Tell me briefly about prison.
Tough going in. I hope we're not getting anyone in trouble by saying this, but I was in the remand place, Clover Hill. I woke up in the middle of the night kind of going, where am I? You know, to wake up and like coming out of a bad dream. The night I arrived in Wheatfield, the three O'Brien brothers were there. There were two of them were sitting in the cell, which were not allowed. I arrived after bang out or close the doors, and three of us were sitting there looking at the dinner. It was a gammon steak, and I remember you could beat someone to death with it, and just looking at myself in the RT News, and I just thought, like, this is fucking surreal. But then you navigate prison, you end up settling into a routine in it. So I got moved down to the Midlands where I met Mert Brennan. They won't mind me mentioning his name. He's a different name in the book. I met his daughter since, and Aisling, who were very complimentary because I saw the other side of Mert. Mert was brilliant. I can't. The only way I can describe Mark would be a gentleman. He's a rogue. So we went in and he made sure I navigate me off the landings, and so every time you come home to the landing, so I used to work in the kitchens. So Mark made sure I was in the right cell. He told your man that if he done anything except me, he'd kill him. But he would have. He was like the Don at the landing. Mark's a rogue, but a lovable rogue. And I remember he looked after me. So he used to bring me up and down the thing just to kind of talk to me and make sure I was okay. And he'd come home, there'd be an extra mattress in the cell, or be kind of paper coffee cups, and there might be a remote control, like all these things. But on the flip side, I used to work in the kitchen, so I used to bring him back me dessert.
Yeah,
you could sell them for 15 things. So there'd be dust, then there'd be the tobacco, and you used to have to pay tobacco to get your laundry done. It's hierarchy stuff. And then Mark was a rogue, like, give me some of them, you won't need them. And he used to sell them for double bubble, for when there's no double bubbles, get twice back. And then Mark, when he was due to release, and when I was due to go to Shelton Abbey, he was due to release, he made sure this kind of fella called Joe Delaney, he would have been in for Cotton Eye Joe, he would have been in for gangland murders. He was going to be looking after me when Mort went, because Mort thought he'd be out before I got to the... And Mort, very intelligent, he dropped me in these posters, like, don't want anyone to think you're this or that or the other. So it was Kelly Brook one, and then it was kind of mad. In my cell there was a Kelly Brook poster and a Scarface poster, and then there was a Dalai Lama poster. There was all these things. But he used to read the dictionary every night, keep himself. He came off 23-hour lockdown to look after me. He was on self-imposed lockdown, came off to make sure I was all right.
Go away.
Now I know a couple of prison officers, I think they'd had the conversation. So then he was, I'll never forget, I was out and he was out, and he was gone back into the kind of addiction, and he was the first person around me when my mum passed away. First person rang me, because I had an old prison phone. I was one of the pilot ones in Shelton Abbey. Another time I was in probation, and the guard in probation came and said, "Are you okay? Martha's looking for you." And I said, why is that? And then Niall rang me, what you do? Mark Brendan's coming in here looking for you. Some lad apparently in York was bad-mouthing me, saying I was giving out tips while I was on community service.
No way.
Mark rang me and said, "Do you want me to sort him out for you?" And I said, "No, Mark, you're all right." Looked after me right to the end. And unfortunately not with this, but and I loved writing that part of the book, because you can show the good that's in people, because we just see the bad. And I was in prison, I saw so much good in some people, and obviously you see the other side of it as well. I go back into Mountjoy every Friday now to do a course with the psychology department, back in UCC lecturing with prisoners. So every time you go back in, you talk about smell, you're brought back to that smell of the prison. That's what I'm saying, I've been back in there. But it's a nice full circle. I was back in the Midlands to do, I met a couple of lads I know from Scraggs, and there I was back in the Midlands doing mental health talk. I was back up in the kitchens having my lunch where I used to be a prisoner, clean the kitchen, so it was like full circle a few months ago. So that's my experience at prison.
Great story.
That is, I genuinely, I think we're not going to do another podcast.
I'm just taking it back here.
Yeah. I think it's it. Like we usually ask lads for their best 11.
I've been thinking about that through the whole thing, so I'm going to try come up with it.
Yeah. We usually
very easy.
We usually do Podge versus Papa. I think you might park it this week, Pop.
I'll give you my best 11.
Yeah, go for it.
Gavin Dowling 100% in the goal.
Every time he's on.
Ray Regan would be either centre back or right
what shape are you playing, Tony? Because this is a football podcast.
This is a big thing now, Tony.
Maybe you might help me, because I'm still trying to think of the players I play with. So you have Ray Regan definitely in there, Paul McCarthy left back definitely,
Lord Mercy
on him, Miley, and probably Blackjack in the centre. So Ray Regan,
Ray Regan right back.
Ray Regan right back.
Played it there as well.
Ray Regan, Miley, Blackjack, and
Paul Mack.
Some fucking thing.
That's not bad.
I'd have definitely Pop in the middle.
First one you've made, I think.
First one, no, definitely would have you in the middle. With I'd have to have the midfield dynamo in there as well, Niall.
Oh yeah.
Brian definitely
on the left.
Yeah, definitely Brian. Just trying, and these lads I played with now, I'm just trying to think.
Did you play with Christy?
Oh, Christy's definitely there.
Christy Sullivan, yeah, he played with Stretford.
Christy's there, and probably a toss up between. Up front would be a player called Eddie O'Reilly. He played with on Carter Rovers.
Critty Yard,
I know him, yeah.
Eddie, and who else did play up front?
Did you play with Froggy McCarthy?
Froggy McCarthy probably on the left wing then.
Yeah.
He'd be on the right wing cutting in.
Yeah.
I only played briefly with Froggy. There was someone else I was thinking of up front. It was Christy. I probably have subs in there. Probably definitely Christy. Sorry, I'm going to finish saying Christy. And maybe right. There's one more person I played with up front. Brian Walker.
Oh, Brian Walker, you said him earlier on, yeah.
And that would be my starting 11 or 12. And
Do you have like happy memories of football, even when you're going through is football an escape for you? Like junior soccer,
brilliant. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, it was about reconnecting, and that crack we used to have.
You loved it, yeah.
The crack we used to have in the pub afterwards and stuff like that. The biggest compliment I ever paid, and maybe we might finish on this. Here I am dictating the podcast, but. The biggest compliment I was ever played. Now, I was probably an average soccer player with moments of brilliance, and we didn't have Pat Dowling here to tell you some of the goals I scored, because I used to be style used to call me shooting sight O'Reilly. I scored some crackers over the years. I was an average player that could have been a lot better, and at times it wasn't, was fitter. But I remember us having a pint with Christy in the front bar, and called Rest His Soul, and I always visit. His grave is right beside my mum's grave and my sister's grave. I always visited. And he was having his large bottle of Harp, and he's a mage or whatever he's smoking. And I was having a pint, and he said, "You know what, Tony?" He says, "You're not Christy O'Sullivan, but you're okay." And I was and it was like, I made it. Christy O'Sullivan makes him okay.
But that's a compliment from the way Christy was.
Christy was talking to himself in the third person.
Yeah.
Absolutely excellent footballer. It was a pleasure to play alongside me. He had me back a lot of times as well, and
very clever.
He was a gentleman. You had to get to know him a bit, but he was a gentleman. And obviously you'd have Eddie as the manager as well, and Silo. Even though we hadn't fallen out with Silo on that over the years about being picked and dropped for cup finals, but that's probably deserved it. But
Silo, listen to this, Pop.
Yeah, lad,
Silo is an absolute gentleman as well, because I remember even the story broke, you'd always know people who would go out of their way to ask about your contact, and he was always asking for me, so he's an absolute gentleman. I always love having a pint with him. Good soccer player in his day too. Started off at Silo centre back was when the Stratford team was playing.
Hard man.
Yeah. So where are you now?
I mean, living in Waterford with my partner, Dorina. We're together 8 or 9 years. Brilliant. She's brilliant. I can't describe her. She's just one of the coolest people I've ever met. I'm in a very good place in recovery. I'm 13 years in recovery. I'm actually longer now in recovery than I was ever gambling.
Okay.
I'm an addiction counsellor specialising in gambling addiction. I do a lot of school talks. I've done 136 schools last year. I visited over 12,000 students. I'm on the road good bit. I'm only back from Dublin. I'm in the office tomorrow doing more podcast, or I could be doing another podcast tomorrow night, I think. I'm back up in Dublin on Thursday and Friday. I'm away from home a lot, but I'm there trying to start conversation about gambling. So I suppose where I am life wise, I'm 50 this year. I'm in a very good space. I enjoy life. I enjoy connecting with lads. I can't drink anymore because I have a non-alcoholic fatty liver and a high cholesterol and all that kind of shit. And I don't miss it, but I enjoy going down to meet the lads and catching up. But that's what got me through it as well. The support of the people of Carlow, I think I said in the documentary we done before, was huge. It really helped my parents as well and my family, but the support I got, and people who know me knew me before that, know me afterwards, and they can see, as Niall always says, it's great to have the real Tony back. And I lost my way for a while. Thankfully I'm back, and be some people who say he's this, that and the other. That's fine, everyone's entitled to their opinion, but the people that count to me are the people that are important to me at the moment.
Well, I mean, you can't be arrogant enough to think that everyone's going to be friendly. Do you know what I mean? And I know.
You can walk down the street and
you spoke once before,
people can take a dislike to you because you're living
for sure. For sure. Do you have to keep busy, Tony?
No, I have to try quieting down. My head still is flying all the time. I don't have to keep busy. I need to slow down probably more. I still have to try to get the life balance right, which I hope to over the next couple of years. Well, life is good. My daughter's very much my life. She's a carbon copy of me in lots of ways. She plays soccer and stuff like that, so it's great to see her playing sport. But life is good. Life is good, and I enjoy doing these. I knew tonight was going to be a different kind of podcast, but I used to say this Talking Bollocks one was my favourite one, but this is going to be my favourite podcast, I think.
Tony, you have to say that.
Get in.
I'm not just saying that. It's the most conversational, insightful one that I've done in a long time. So.
Well, you see, when you have, I can only speak for myself, I'm an idiot, right? But when you have an idiot's view giving you feedback, it almost throws you off, doesn't it, though?
No,
do you know
it doesn't.
What I mean?
No, because
you're supposed to say yes there.
No, I think it's.
Are you an idiot? No, you're not.
I think what makes a podcast, and we've done our own problem gambling podcast, and people have listened. Like, how do you listen to that? But it's the chemistry you have brings the podcast, or how you allowed the guests to come in, and it doesn't have to be polished with all the jingles and the noise and the music and all that kind of stuff.
We do have that.
Yeah, of course. It's about the people and the realness of it. It's about
I'd love to show the videos of people when they come in here first and sit down over the 32 was it was?
Yeah, it's 32. Yeah,
you see their hands and they're half an hour into it, they're just boom, cool as a breeze.
Yeah, well, we saw those crags, didn't we?
I heard that. I'll go to the next one and see it.
You're the main guest. We don't tell you that, Jay.
No, it's been a pleasure being on, and thanks very much for having me on. As I said, I was delighted when you contacted. Because I was only actually thinking about it before, because I'd listened to I was in the Pushing Still having my lunch and I listened to a little bit of Lee Salter one when it came out.
Yeah.
Because Lee would be second cousin, I don't know. He's definitely related to me anyway. I just thought, geez, wouldn't it be lovely to do that? And then next thing you text me, I think a day later. I think you couldn't even text me that day. So
I said it to him. I said it to you the last 2 months.
Yeah.
Well, a chance text them.
I said, come on, yeah.
We don't know our level either. Do you know when you're not like I'm anti-social media. I only have it because of this. But when you don't know your level or your place in this game, like there's almost a fear in approaching people.
Yeah. I'd be very open to try, again, it's to have a conversation like it's just about it's about it. I was told a story hundreds of times, but it might bring it to one or two different audience that might have heard it first time. It might help them reach out for a bit of support, knowing that there's hope at the end of it, and that's what the whole thing is about.
Yeah.
So thanks for shining a light on
this.
Listen, thanks so much for coming.
It's great to see you again.
Genuinely wish you all the best.
Yeah,
and I hope my wife's a teacher, so if you want to school, I'll give you her own.
What school is she in?
Kilcullen.
Whereabouts?
Cross and Passion.
Oh, I've been there a couple of times.
Have you?
Yeah.
Were you there this year?
Not this year. I've been there probably last 4 years.
Have you?
Getting back, yeah. I've been there. It's hard. Your wife has been contacting me to do it. To school. I've been there a couple of times actually. Lovely school.
My wife's a French teacher. She's too sophisticated for all that books and all that crap.
No, I've been there a good few. I've been there 3 or 4 times already.
Yeah, it's a great school. It's a great school. It's a very progressive school. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish you all the best. I genuinely do. And thanks for sharing your story. Thanks for understanding.
Oh, brilliant, yeah.
Your position in relation to what the expectation is of you and what the perception. That's a big thing that you can't measure. The fact that you can be open and come in and speak about it and understand, that what people might think or what people might say or whatever it is. It's a massive feather in a cap. Pop, we're going to park Podge versus Papa till next week. I'm burnt out, man. I have to go training now, and I haven't had anything since at least 5 o'clock.
I have to ring a client on the way home in the car now.
Oh, do you?
I'll be talked out. I just go home and I just stop talking when I get home. So I do. It's all good.
Lads, thanks for listening. Thanks so much for support. Buy me a coffee. Continue to support us. It keeps us going. We had 1,100 listeners last week, Papa. If half of you fuckers bought us a coffee, it'd be fucking brilliant. Everything we get comes in. The jerseys, Papa, are sold out.
Brilliant, yeah, they're
Order
nice.
today.
They're
sold out. The Desmond Tutu version is gone. As always, not my podcast.
Not my podcast.
Carlo Soccer's podcast. It's your podcast. Good luck and God bless.
Brilliant.
That's full time on this episode of the How Is He podcast. Available on all podcasting platforms. Find us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter/X. Proudly sponsored by Curra Sports. For more information, contact Shane@currasports.com or check out their website, currasports.com.